Chapter 1307. Unbelievable. It really is a city completely forged from tungsten alloy. As long as you possess this city, you'll definitely become the wealthiest and noblest person on the Tian Yuan continent. Am I seeing things? There are no formations or barriers in the city. There's no holy emperor either. It seems to have been taken over by an ordinary mercenary group. Another holy emperor from overseas sighed in amazement. His eyes burned with desire. Although money was nothing to holy emperor experts, it was still enough to tempt many holy emperors when the wealth reached an unbelievable level. They wanted to take it for themselves. The surrounding holy emperors all stared at the two of them like they were idiots when they heard what the two holy emperors had said. One of the kind-hearted holy emperors arrived beside the two of them and whispered, "Brothers, I'd advise you to stop thinking about Flame City. Don't even look at it, or I can guarantee that you'll regret it, because it's something that even the 10 protector clans don't dare to touch." The two holy emperors from overseas immediately shrunk their necks when they heard that. They quickly shifted their gazes and dismissed their thoughts. Even the other holy emperors from overseas did the same. Something that even the 10 protector clans did not dare to touch was not something they could covet. At this moment, the pressure between heaven and earth suddenly increased. Soon after, a deafening roar sounded. A huge lightning bolt that was half a meter thick struck down from the vortex. The intense light illuminated heaven and earth, bringing about an instant of snow white. It draped over the mountain range below at an unbelievable speed. Kacha! The sound of the thunderclap shook the heavens and the earth as it struck the tungsten alloy vein at lightning speed. Immediately, a loud rumbling sound erupted. Most of the tungsten alloy had already been mined by the flame mercenaries. Only the layer of tungsten alloy that was relatively pure remained. This was because the tungsten alloy was just too pure and extremely tough. Even a full-powered strike from a Heaven Saint Master would only leave behind a shallow mark, making it extremely difficult to mine. Probably only Saint rulers had the ability to continue mining. However, as a Saint King, how could he lower himself to do such a thing? Thus, this batch of tungsten alloy with higher purity had been left here without touching. However, at this moment, as the heavenly lightning struck, a bottomless black hole appeared in the incomparably hard tungsten alloy vein below. The tungsten alloy vein that was struck by the heavenly lightning disappeared without a trace, as if it had been struck into nothingness by the heavenly lightning. The entire tungsten alloy mine was shaking violently. The earth was shaking and the mountains were shaking as if a great earthquake had occurred. Countless mountains in the surroundings collapsed. In the blink of an eye, thick cracks appeared on the rocks. In the blink of an eye, the entire mountain range had changed beyond recognition. The Holy Emperor experts gathered in the surroundings all became rather pale. They stared at the strange, thick clouds in the sky in both shock and fear. All of them subconsciously began to slowly retreat. The moment the bolt of lightning struck, all of them felt an extremely powerful energy from it. It filled them with fear. They had never seen such a powerful bolt of lightning before. Even the Holy Emperor at great perfection felt like he was an ant before it. It was not just the Holy Emperor. Even the 5 Holy Emperor experts gathered there became extremely stern. The power of the lightning had completely exceeded their imaginations. None of them were confident that they could block the bolt of lightning. Even if they managed to block it, they would probably be half dead. The power of the tribulation struck fear into everyone. The 5 Holy Emperor experts and over 1,000 Holy Emperor experts all retreated time and time again. They only stopped after retreating 20 kilometers away. They were afraid that they would be affected. Only Fairy Haoyue remained where she was. She understood the tribulation extremely well and knew just how powerful it was. She also knew how to avoid it. As long as she was not within the range of the tribulation lightning, she would not be affected. Bai Hai, Bai Lian, and Yu arrived with the saint rulers of the flame mercenaries. All of them gathered beside the bright moon divine hall. There are just far too many Holy Emperor experts gathered there. If anything happened, they could hide in the divine hall as soon as possible. Crack! Another deafening sound rang out. A few seconds after the first bolt of lightning, a second bolt of lightning descended. It struck the same spot with an extremely dazzling light. The second bolt of lightning was clearly much more powerful than the first. It had grown from half a meter thick to a meter thick. Pitch-black cracks appeared in space wherever it passed by. The tungsten or below was reduced to dust without leaving behind a single speck of dust. It was directly vaporized and reduced to nothingness. All that was left behind was a black hole that was a meter wide and of unknown depth. Suddenly, a faint, golden light shone from the bottomless black hole. The golden light was extremely thin in the beginning, but it rapidly increased at a visible rate. In just a few seconds, the golden light from the black hole became extremely dazzling, as resplendent as gold. A tremendous, terrifying pulse of energy radiated from the black hole, causing the expressions of the Holy Emperor experts to change. The Holy Emperor felt his heart skip a beat. What terrifying pulses of energy! These pulses of energy are no weaker than the Holy Emperor's. Just what is there? Has something happened to a treasure of the world? Is it specially used to deal with the threat from the world of forsaken saints? Just what is hidden in the tungsten alloy mine? It's actually angered the heavens and caused them to be struck by lightning. Is this a blessing or a curse for our Yuan continent? Oh no, the pulses of energy from the depths of the tungsten alloy mine are rapidly increasing in strength. The lightning is so powerful, yet it still can't kill this unknown thing. All the Saint Kings discussed among themselves. None of them were able to remain calm. The 5 Saint Emperors were all stern as they stared at the bottomless hole that had been created by the bolt of lightning. Many people had already used various methods to investigate just what was in the depths of the tungsten alloy mine, but the place was currently enveloped by a powerful energy. No matter what they did, they were unable to penetrate it. Even the Holy Emperor was no exception. At this moment, the bottom of the bottomless black hole was a space of 30 meters wide. A ball of golden liquid hovered in the air, shining with a dazzling golden light. The ball of golden liquid seemed to be completely condensed from energy. The energy within it was so great that it was enough to stun anyone. Even a Holy Emperor was not as powerful as it. Chapter 1308. The third bolt of lightning struck, and its power increased once again. It was much more violent than the second bolt of lightning, growing from 1 meter to 1.5 meters in diameter. The lightning struck the golden liquid with lightning speed, causing it to tremble violently. However, the golden liquid was able to withstand the lightning bolts that even the Holy Emperor did not dare to face. It was not destroyed by the lightning bolts, but it was reduced in size. However, if one looked closely, they would discover that although the golden liquid had shrunk under the violent bombardment of the tribulation lightning, the energy it contained was constantly increasing. It was undergoing a qualitative leap. Moreover, the features of the human infant that it had condensed had become even more distinct and distinct. Thunder rumbled in the sky, and the lightning bolts continued to strike. The 4th bolt, the 5th bolt, the 6th bolt, the 7th bolt, the 8th bolt. Soon, 8 bolts of lightning struck down. Each bolt of lightning struck the same spot, and each bolt was stronger and thicker than the last. When the 8th bolt of lightning struck down, it was powerful enough to destroy the world. The world was plunged into darkness, and the Yuan Qi within a radius of 10,000 miles was evaporated. The laws of nature were disrupted, and the holy kings and holy emperors were almost unable to float in the air. The 5 holy emperors turned pale. They all felt the threat of death in front of the 8th bolt of lightning. This bolt of lightning was powerful enough to kill a holy emperor in an instant. The holy emperor was powerless in front of this bolt of lightning. What kind of terrifying thing is hidden in there? Even such a terrifying bolt of lightning can't destroy it. The 5 holy emperors were all filled with great curiosity. They also felt uneasy. Although no one had been able to find out what was hidden beneath the tungsten alloy mine, they all knew that it was powerful and terrifying, which made many of them feel fear. An origin realm expert has been born on the Yuan continent. It's a pity that there's no origin energy in this world, so it's no longer suitable for Origin Realm experts to cultivate. Even the tunnel to the Saint's World has been sealed by Shui Yunlan. If nothing goes wrong, the Origin Realm spirit will struggle to leave this place. He'll remain in the Origin Realm for the rest of his life, Jian Chun sighed. Fairy Haoyue murmured to herself as a soul in the bright Moon Divine Hall. She was also unable to see what was going through the tribulation, but she had guessed it long ago with her knowledge and experience. Rumble. At this time, the thunder in the sky rumbled with a series of muffled booms. It sounded like the roar of a furious dragon. The entire tribulation cloud began to violently churn. Vast and boundless energy gathered from all directions, all of it condensing at the center. Everyone became greatly shocked when they saw this. They could already tell that the tribulation cloud was beginning to charge up. It wanted to unleash its most powerful attack. At the same time, the energy fluctuation from the bottom of the tungsten alloy mine grew stronger and stronger. Soon after, the metal essence in the entire tungsten alloy mine began to rapidly gather from all directions. Without the metal essence, the originally extremely hard tungsten alloy immediately lost its original luster and turned into an extremely ordinary rock that would shatter with a single strike. In just a few seconds, the largest tungsten alloy mine on the Tianyuan continent no longer had any tungsten alloy. It had been reduced to an extremely ordinary mountain. The tribulation lightning in the sky had also finished brewing. With a huge roar that resounded through the heavens and earth, the ninth bolt of tribulation lightning struck down like a bolt of lightning. This bolt of tribulation lightning was 4 to 5 meters thick, and its momentum was terrifying. It could destroy the heavens and earth. Wherever the tribulation lightning passed, space shattered like a mirror, and the entire void became eternal darkness. At the same time, a tremendous pulse of energy appeared. A dazzling golden light rose up from below, rapidly expanding into the sky as if it wanted to fend off the darkness. It was a pillar of pure golden energy. Like a serpent dragon, it was vicious and violent as it shot into the sky with an unstoppable force. It collided with the descending tribulation lightning in the air. Boom! The collision of the two immediately produced an extremely terrifying sound. Violent streams of energy wreaked havoc in the surroundings, causing the entire mountain range to shatter. Countless mountains and cliffs were flattened. After a long time, the rumbling of thunder finally disappeared. After a long while, the crack in space closed up and the world regained its light. The tribulation lightning in the sky had completely vanished. The sun in the sky was still as gorgeous as before, illuminating the world with its dazzling light. The eighth bolt of tribulation lightning could easily kill a holy emperor, but the ninth bolt was several times more powerful than the eighth. However, such a terrifying bolt of tribulation lightning was actually able to match the golden pillar of energy that had shot out from the depths of the tungsten alloy mine. The two of them disappeared together. The holy emperor experts in the distance all hovered there with pale faces. What they had just experienced was like a dream to them. It had completely overturned everything they knew. They had never seen such terrifying lightning before, nor did they imagine that the unknown thing hidden in the depths of the tungsten alloy mine would be so terrifying. It had completely exceeded the power of a holy emperor. The 5 holy emperor experts from the sea race, magical beasts, and humans also hovered there with pale faces, speechless for a very long time. They stared blankly at the mountain range that had been completely destroyed. None of them said anything. "It's over. Let's go." Fairy Haoyue's voice rang out in Yu Yu's head. Afterward, the bright Moon Divine Hall silently left with Bai Lian and Yu Yu. They returned to the City Lord's estate in Flame City. Bai Hai glanced at the mountain range that he was no longer familiar with in fright. He slowly calmed himself down before leaving with the saint rulers of the Flame Mercenaries. He no longer paid any attention to what happened next. He knew very well that even if there really was a treasure here, it was not something they could touch. The tungsten alloy mine had been reduced to an extremely ordinary mountain range. Even the terrifying pulses of energy from the depths of the tungsten alloy mine had vanished. However, even with that being the case, many Holy Emperor experts still did not dare to approach it. They continued to stare at the huge hole that had been created by the tribulation, lightning, and fright. A very long time later, a bold Holy Emperor carefully approached it to take a look. He even directly entered the bottom of the hole, but he did not discover anything. He did not see any treasure at all. Aside from ordinary rocks, there was nothing else. Afterward, more and more Holy Emperor experts approached the hole to search. Even the 5 Holy Emperor experts began to move, but the result was the same. They failed to discover anything, let alone a treasure. They did not even see the remains of a treasure. The lightning is so powerful that the treasure has probably been destroyed and reduced to dust. An old Holy Emperor sighed as he shook his head. His face was filled with pity. His words quickly gained the approval of many people because they couldn't think of any other explanation other than this. Immediately, they all revealed looks of regret. Fortunately, it's not a newly discovered tunnel from the world of Forsaken Saints. Everyone, since we're done here, let's hurry back to Mercenary City and continue guarding the tunnel, said the Grand Elder of Mercenary City. Before long, the group of Holy Emperor experts that had hurried over from Mercenary City all left. Very soon, the mountain range became desolate once again. Unlike before, it could no longer be called a mountain range. All the mountains had collapsed, and a few cliffs had been flattened. Flame City was still bustling with people, but people could be heard discussing the matter of the tribulation lightning with great interest at all times on the streets. Everyone's opinions varied and became more and more exaggerated, becoming more and more miraculous. Very soon, there were many different versions of the story. A boy who was less than a meter tall and wore golden clothes walked through the streets of Flame City in a daze. He blinked his large, bright eyes as he timidly passed through the crowd. He looked left and right along the way, filled with curiosity about everything. The little boy was chubby and extremely cute. He only seemed to be around 3 or 4 years old. His golden clothes shone brightly, even more resplendent than gold. It seemed like they had been forged from pure gold. Chapter 1310. Who is this child? He's dressed so luxuriously at such a young age. His clothes look like they're made from gold. I wonder which great clan he's from. Gold is extremely tough. Look at the golden clothes the child is wearing. They're soft like cloth, but the light they give off is even more dazzling than gold. You can tell with a single glance that they're made from some sort of extremely precious material. This child is so cute. He's so white and chubby, and his large eyes are filled with intelligence. He's so lovable. I have to have a child as cute as him in the future. The people on the streets all looked over and discussed amongst themselves. The boy in golden clothes was as eye-catching as a dazzling firework. He was so unique and dazzling. Quite a few people even gathered around the boy and asked him all sorts of questions. If they weren't asking for his name, they were asking about his background. There were even some people who began to fawn on the little boy, asking about his well-being. They all thought that the little boy was a member of a great family. Once they fawned on him, they would be able to leap over the Dragon Gate and achieve meteoric success. There were all sorts of people in the crowd. Not only were there people from the Flame Mercenaries, there were also people from other mercenary groups, mercenaries who had come to Flame City to worship or seek cooperation, merchants, and so on. Very soon, the boy in golden clothes was surrounded by a large group of people. They chattered incessantly, and there were quite a few people who came to watch the show. The little boy was like a child who had never seen the world. Surrounded by a large group of people, he stood there in a daze, staring at the group of people around him. His eyes were filled with curiosity, and at the same time, there was a hint of timidity. "Kid, what's your name?" "Kid, are you lost? Tell me where your home is, and I'll send you back." However, no matter how many people asked him, the boy remained silent. He stood there in a daze, staring at the crowd blankly. His face was filled with confusion. A few sharp-eyed people immediately saw some clues from the little boy's expression. They immediately guessed that the little boy's identity was not as complicated as they had imagined. This was because all the disciples of large aristocratic families would receive an extremely strict education from a young age. Or perhaps they would be spoiled by their parents and elders. From a young age, they would have a natural sense of pride and superiority. They would definitely not be as foolish as this little boy in front of them. Is there something wrong with this child's head? Has he been abandoned by his parents? Some people began to discuss. Immediately, the people around the boy became much quieter. Many people's gazes towards the boy changed subtly. At this moment, a fat, middle-aged man dressed as a merchant walked over to the boy's side with a set of white clothes. He crouched down and smiled. "Kid, I've been in business for several decades, so I have great taste. I can tell with a single glance that the clothes you're wearing are too ugly. They're not suitable for you. Look, I just happen to have a beautiful set of clothes, so I'll give it to you. Come, let me take off your clothes first, and then I'll put on this beautiful set of white clothes for you." With that, the middle-aged man moved quickly. He took off the boy's golden clothes as quickly as possible before putting on the expensive set of white clothes in his hand. The little boy seemed to really be a child who didn't know anything. He didn't resist and allowed the middle-aged man to take off his clothes. Then, he put on the white clothes that seemed to look even better because he could feel that the middle-aged man wouldn't hurt him. At the same time, he didn't have any hostility towards him. "You profiteer, you're even cheating a child." Many people in the surroundings began to curse when they saw this. At the same time, some people sighed inside. They were filled with regret, regretting that they had not acted earlier. They could tell with a single glance that the set of golden clothes on the boy was nothing ordinary. It was a pity that the profiteer had taken it first. The middle-aged fat man took the golden clothes and rubbed his hand hard. Sure enough, it was as soft as brocade and did not fade. It was not dyed, but made of a material that he had never seen before. With his experience, he immediately knew that this thing was extraordinary. A proud smile appeared on his face. He immediately took the clothes and disappeared into the crowd. A few burly men in the crowd looked at each other before leaving with the middle-aged man from afar. In everyone's eyes, the most valuable thing on the boy was his set of clothes. Everyone immediately lost interest in the boy when the clothes were taken away. The crowd dispersed very quickly. Without the obstruction of the crowd, the little boy continued to move forward. Along the way, he looked to the east and looked to the west, full of curiosity towards everything. Sometimes, he would reveal a thoughtful expression, and no one paid him any attention. At this moment, the middle-aged man who had tricked the boy into taking the set of golden clothes had already run out of the city. He had already noticed that a few people had followed him, but he did not care at all. Instead, he hurriedly pulled out the set of golden clothes in excitement. Based on his many years of experience, he had already concluded that the value of this set of clothes was definitely beyond his imagination. This was because even with his decades of experience, he was actually unable to recognize the material of this set of clothes. This was a material that he had never seen or heard of before. However, when the middle-aged fatty put his hand into his chest, the expression on his face immediately hardened. He did not take out the sparkling golden clothes from his chest. Instead, he grabbed a handful of soil. The soil had already turned into fine sand and slowly slid through the gaps between his fingers to the ground. What's going on?" The middle-aged fat man was stunned for a moment and then let out a cry of alarm. His expression suddenly became anxious, and he continued to reach into his chest. Unfortunately, the familiar golden clothes were gone. He couldn't find it no matter how hard he searched. He could only grab handfuls of soil and pull it out. How was this possible? How is this possible? Why is there soil? Where's the expensive set of golden clothes? Where did it go? I clearly put it in my bosom. The middle-aged man's face was dejected. He thought about everything that had happened, but he could not figure it out no matter how hard he tried. Damn fatty. Hand over the golden clothes if you don't want to die. Over a dozen burly men caught up from behind and surrounded the middle-aged man. All of them were fiendish, and the leader was an Earth Saint Master. The middle-aged man had just lost his clothes and was in a fit of anger. When he saw the group of people surrounding him, his face immediately sank. He angrily yelled, "Piss off! I'm not in a good mood." The middle-aged man arrived in front of the Earth Saint Master with a single stride and directly threw a punch. A fiery red light shot out from his fist as it erupted with a threatening wave of heat. The punch was very fast. The Earth Saint Master was unable to dodge in time and could only block with his huge sword. When a middle-aged man's punch landed on the huge sword, a muffled sound immediately rang out. The first cycle Earth Saint Master was sent flying along with his sword. A sixth cycle Earth Saint Master. The first cycle Earth Saint Master, who had surrounded the middle-aged man, cried out as his face became extremely ugly. The expressions of the burly men in the surroundings all changed when they heard the sixth cycle Earth Saint Master. They were only great Saint Masters, so how could they be the opponent of an Earth Saint Master? They immediately turned around and fled. The middle-aged man did not chase after them. Instead, he angrily hammered his head and cursed. There must have been a hermit expert who saw the extraordinariness of the clothes and secretly tricked me. I admit defeat. I've lost a few hundred gold coins. At this moment, the boy had already passed through a street in Flame City. However, his white clothes had become golden once again. They shone brightly and were even more resplendent than gold. Not long after, the little boy was once again surrounded by a group of people. The seemingly innocent boy was once again stripped of his clothes, causing the clothes on his body to change again and again. The little boy looked at the new clothes on his body and felt very strange. He really didn't understand why these people liked to give him new, beautiful clothes. However, when he looked at the new clothes on his body that were getting more and more beautiful, his heart was filled with joy. Very soon, a cry rang out from a certain part of Flame City. When the person who had tricked the boy of his clothes took the shiny clothes back to the inn, he discovered that the shiny clothes had become ordinary. Not only that, but the clothes had even been reduced to dust when he touched them. Bai Lian was busy with the daily affairs of the flame mercenaries in the city lord's estate, while Yu Yu leisurely sat to one side, eating delicious pastries. At this moment, a guard walked in from outside. He knelt down on one knee and said, "Vice City Lord, I've just received a report that an extremely strange boy has appeared in our Flame City. He's dressed in golden clothes." Chapter 13:11. Bai Lian raised her head after hearing the guard's report. She looked at the guard in doubt and asked, "You're saying that all the clothes on the boy will turn golden before long, and if he takes them off, they'll return to their original state and turn to dust?" "Yes, Vice City Lord. That is indeed the case. I've even specially sent people to verify it. It's definitely true. The boy only seems to be 3 or 4 years old. He hasn't cultivated yet he possesses such an ability. I'm guessing that he's not simple at all," the guard respectfully replied. Although he was already an Earth Saint Master and could be regarded as a decent expert, there were plenty of people like him in the Flame Mercenaries. As a result, he dared not act arrogantly before Bai Lian, who was weaker than him. Yu Yu, who was sitting to one side and eating pastries, also looked over. She became interested before saying to Bai Lian, "Sister Bai Lian, I think the boy has some innate ability. People like that are extremely rare on the Tian Yuan continent. Why don't we go out and see just what's so special about the boy?" Bai Lian also became interested. She temporarily stopped what she was doing and eagerly stood up. She said, "Sure. It just so happens that I haven't gone out in a very long time. I'll use this opportunity to take a stroll around the city." Yu Yu and Bai Lian, who were around the same age, immediately agreed. They rode on 2 large class, 5 magical beasts, and left the city lord's estate with a group of guards. A saint ruler secretly followed them to ensure their safety. The bright moon divine hall stood quietly in the city lord's estate. It shone with an eternal light. It was majestic and beautiful, but it was also filled with a sense of holiness. In a remote corner of Flame City was an ordinary house. It was dark inside, so dark that one couldn't even see their own fingers. It was deathly silent, but there seemed to be an invisible pressure permeating the place, giving off a very oppressive feeling. At this moment, the door to the house opened silently, but the sunlight outside did not shine in at all. A skinny person entered the house like a ghost and silently closed the door. Afterward, he knelt down on one knee and said softly, "Sect Master, Vice Sect Master, the vice city lord of Flame City, Bai Lian, and you have left the city lord's estate together. Did they take the bright moon divine hall with them? A deep and hoarse voice rang out from the darkness. The bright moon divine hall is still in the city lord's estate. They didn't take it with them, the kneeling person politely replied. Understand. You can leave. That low and hoarse voice sounded again, as if it was coming from all directions. It was impossible to tell the direction in the darkness. Yes, Sectmaster, Vice Sectmaster. This subordinate will be taking his leave. The person stood up and left without leaving behind a single footstep. He even opened and closed the door silently. Fantastic. They've finally left the city lord's estate, and they didn't take the bright moon divine hall with them. Sectmaster, our chance for revenge has come. Another deep voice rang out from the dark house. It clearly did not belong to the same person as before. We've already been here for many days to assassinate the people most important to Jianshan. Yu and Bai Lian are Jianshan's fiancé and Jianshan's sister. If we kill the two of them, we'll definitely make Jianshan suffer. It's a pity that they've been hiding in the city lord's estate for the past few days and have never come out. I fear the bright moon divine hall in the city lord's estate, which is why I've been delaying it until now. Now, I've finally found an opportunity. This time, we'll definitely kill the two of them. Even a Class 7, Radiant Saint Master won't be able to save them. Jianshan, our underworld sect is not so easy to bully. Now that you've destroyed our underworld sect, just wait for our crazy protection. Killing your fiancé and sister is only the first step of our revenge. The people hiding there were the sect master and vice sect master of the underworld sect, Gu Zhen, who had escaped from the encirclement of the Bloodsword sect. At this moment, a large group of people had gathered on a street in Flame City. They discussed spiritedly, causing the entire street to be heavily jammed. At the center of the crowd was a little boy in golden clothes. He stood there in a daze as he stared at the people around him in confusion. His cute little face was filled with curiosity. Ever since he came to Flame City, which he found to be extremely familiar and intimate with, he had been surrounded by large groups of people many times. Many people fought over each other to give him new, beautiful clothes, which made him extremely happy. However, he still did not understand why these people loved to surround him and point at him. I've heard that no matter what the clothes are, they'll immediately turn into gold as soon as they're worn by this kid. They'll be of extremely high quality and priceless. Look at the clothes he's wearing. As long as you have a discerning eye, you'll be able to tell with a single glance that the clothes are even more valuable than gold. I've heard about this as well, but I've also heard that if you take the clothes off the kid, they'll turn back to their original state very quickly. You can't touch them either, or they'll turn to dust. Nothing will remain. One impressive kid. Don't tell me he has the ability to turn stone into gold. If that's the case, doesn't that mean he'll have inexhaustible wealth in the future? Many people surrounded the boy as they discussed. However, when they heard about the ability to turn stone into gold, all of their eyes lit up with desire. At this moment, a middle-aged woman made her way to the boy's side. She smiled in what she believed to be a very friendly manner and said gently, "Darling, are you unable to find your family? Everyone around you is bad. Only I'm good. Come with me, and I'll take you to find your family, all right? Kid, come with me. I guarantee that you'll live a good life in the future. Little brother, you better come with me. I like you the most." The people in the surroundings began to fight over the boy. However, since they were not particularly powerful, they did not dare to use force. They could only use various methods to swindle the boy. Chapter 13:12. Nonsense. Although I don't know why this boy has appeared in Flame City. Which clan does he belong to? Which family does he belong to? But I'm sure that this little boy is definitely not from the Zhou family. Is there even need to ask? The Zhou family must have taken a fancy to the boy's special ability, which is why they want to bring him along. After all, it's extremely likely that the boy possesses the ability to turn stone into gold. If this ability matures, the Zhou family will possess endless wealth. They'll be able to purchase large amounts of monster cores and cultivation resources for their disciples, making the clan even stronger. Sai, who told the Zhou family to be so strong? They've brought 4 Heaven Saint Masters, and they're a reclusive clan with saint rulers. They're not people we can provoke. Looks like the boy is going to be taken away by the Zhou family. Ha ha, I never thought that you'd come so quickly, but unfortunately, you won't be able to take this child away. At this moment, a burst of laughter rang out. 3 middle-aged men in white robes flew over from afar and landed beside the little boy in golden robes. These 3 middle-aged men were brimming with heroic spirit. Their sword-like eyebrows reached their temples. However, the 3 of them looked exactly the same. They were twins. The 4 Heaven Saint Masters of the Zhou family revealed different expressions when they saw the 3 middle-aged men. One of them said with a deep voice, "I never thought that the 3 Yun brothers of the Heartsword sect would come as well. You sure are well-informed, daring to come from so far away so quickly." The 4 Heaven Saint Masters from the reclusive Zhou family clearly feared the 3 Yun brothers from the Heartsword sect very much. Although the Heartsword sect was also a reclusive clan like the Zhou family, the Heartsword sect was much more powerful than the Zhou family because they possessed 3 saint rulers, far more than the Zhou family. Moreover, these 3 Yun brothers were all at rank 6 realm masters, and they were twins. They were telepathic and knew how to attack together. Their cooperation was flawless, and if the 3 of them attacked at the same time, they could easily defeat the 4 of them. The eldest of the 3 Yun brothers chuckled and clasped his hands at the 4 Heaven Saint Masters of the Zhou family. He said, "My Heartsword sect wants to take this child away. Your Zhou family should have no objections, right?" Seeing the hesitation on the faces of the 4 Heaven Saint Masters of the Zhou family, the second of the 3 Yun brothers immediately sneered. "You better not say that this child is from your Zhou family. As for the reason, I think you should all understand." The faces of the 4 Heaven Saint Masters from the Zhou family immediately became ugly with that. After a moment of hesitation, the person who seemed to be the leader finally clenched his teeth and said, "All right, our Zhou family doesn't want this child. If your Heartsword sect wants him, then take him back. I hope your Heartsword sect can protect this child. This child's ability is so special that it has probably attracted the attention of a few ancient clans." The eldest of the 3 Yun brothers gently smiled. "This is a matter of our Heartsword. The Zhou family, don't worry." With that, the eldest of the 3 Yun brothers said to the person beside him, "Third brother, go take this child away." The 3 Yun brothers were secretly rather worried. This was the territory of the Flame Mercenaries. They did not know whether the upper echelon of the Flame Mercenaries had received the news or not. They needed to take the child away before the people of the Flame Mercenaries arrived. The youngest of the 3 Yun brothers nodded. He arrived beside the child and extended his arms to pick him up, but in the next moment his face slightly changed. A sliver of surprise appeared in his eyes as he looked at the child. He could not help but cry out, "What a heavy child! This child weighs several thousand kilograms at the very least." Everyone in the surroundings fell into an uproar when they heard that. A few experts possessed many abilities that could make their bodies as heavy as mountains, connecting them to the ground. However, the child before them was only 3 or 4 years old, yet he possessed such an ability. This made everyone sigh in amazement once again. The youngest of the 3 Yun brothers immediately switched to using both hands. He wanted to pick up the child from the ground, but when he used all his strength to the point where his face was completely red, he still failed to move the child at all. The third of the 3 Yun brothers was shocked. He looked at the little boy with eyes full of horror. With his strength, he could even lift things that weighed tens of thousands of kilograms. However, he couldn't carry this little boy who was less than a meter tall. This made him feel incredulous. The eldest of the 3 Yun brothers frowned slightly. At that moment, he realized that the child was probably not as simple as he had imagined. This only made him even more desperate to take the child to the Heartsword sect as soon as possible, just in case the child was taken away by another organization. "Second brother, let's do it together." The eldest of the 3 brothers shouted in a low voice, and then he and the second brother hugged the little boy's petite body at the same time. However, what shocked everyone was that even with the 3 brothers working together, they were still unable to lift the little boy from the ground. The boy blinked his large, black eyes as he stared at the three Yun brothers in confusion. His pure gaze made the three Yun brothers want to vomit blood. They were mighty six-cycle Heaven Saint Masters, yet they were unable to pick up a child. Even though this child was different from the rest, it still made the three brothers lose face. The Vice City Lord has arrived. At this moment, a loud voice rang out from outside the crowd, immediately causing an uproar. The dense crowd that blocked the street all consciously opened up a wide path. The hearts of the three Yun brothers immediately sank when they heard the voice. What they worried about the most had still happened. Yu and Bai Lian slowly made their way over on their large, mighty class 5 magical beasts. Several dozen guards followed beside them. Even the weakest of the guards was a third-cycle Earth Saint Master and wore tungsten alloy armor. There were even 10 Heaven Saint Masters who had established a final line of defense in the inner circle. Greetings to the Vice City Lord. All the people gathered on the street clasped their hands and bowed. They called out together, causing their voices to shake the sky. Whether it was in the Flame Mercenaries or Flame City, the position of Vice City Lord was an existence that stood above everyone else. It was even nobler than the kings of the 8 great kingdoms on the continent. The 3 brothers of the Heartsword sect sighed inside. They let go of the boy helplessly and bowed to Bai Lian politely with the 4 Heaven Saint Masters of the Zhou family. They said together, "Greetings to the Vice City Lord. There's no need to be so courteous." Bai Lian smiled. Her voice was gentle and her tone was flat. She had already gone through something like this who knew how many times, so she could easily deal with it. "What cute little boy." Sima Yuyu's eyes lit up as she stared at the little boy in golden clothes. Her heart was filled with fondness. Bai Lian's gaze also landed on the boy, and her eyes immediately lit up. She also became fond of him. The little boy was fair and chubby. His pair of big black eyes were filled with innocence and innocence. He was indeed very cute. Not to mention girls. Even some men couldn't help but take a few more glances at him and exclaim in admiration. The little boy stared at Sima Yuyu and Bai Lian without blinking. His eyes were filled with curiosity and confusion. He didn't know why, but when he saw Bai Lian and Sima Yuyu, he felt especially close. That was because Bai Lian and Sima Yuyu had an aura that made the little boy feel very warm. Yu and Bai Lian dismounted at the same time and quickly arrived by the boy's side. The 10 Heaven Saint Masters immediately followed them closely, protecting the 2 of them to the best of their abilities. Even the Heaven Saint Masters from the Hermit Zhou family and the Heartsword sect were chased 10 meters away. However, the Heaven Saint Masters from the Zhou family and the Heartsword sect did not dare to show any displeasure. Instead, they smiled and accompanied the 2 of them. "Little boy, tell sister, what's your name?" Yu squatted beside the little boy and asked softly with a kind smile on her face. The boy stared at Yu in confusion. He said nothing. "Little boy, tell sister, what's your name and where do you live?" Bai Lian asked as well. She was concerned. The boy was also a loss. He said nothing, as if he did not know how to speak at all. At this moment, Yu's body trembled violently. Her expression changed drastically in an instant. She looked at the little boy with eyes filled with extreme shock and disbelief. She had just received a message from Fairy Hao Yue and learnt the boy's true identity. The boy was the metallic spirit that had endured the 9 bolts of lightning in the depths of the tungsten alloy mine. He was a natural spirit and possessed extremely great potential. Not only that, you had also learned from Fairy Hao Yue that the boy had actually surpassed the Holy Emperor, an expert of the Origin Realm. Yu was extremely shocked. She refused to believe that the harmless-looking boy before her was even more terrifying than the Holy Emperor, and that he had already reached the same level as the 4 great experts of ancient times. "Yu, what's wrong?" Bai Lian sensed Yu's change and immediately became suspicious. Yu sucked in a deep breath and forced herself to calm down. However, her gaze toward the boy had changed drastically. After a moment of silence, Yu extended her hand towards the boy with a trembling hand. She gently said, "Little boy, sister knows that you have no home to return to. Why don't you come with me and live with me in the future? I'll treat you like my own brother, all right?" Perhaps the boy understood Yu Yu's words, or understood what Yu Yu meant, but he did not refuse. He obediently grabbed Yu Yu's hand. The boy felt especially close to Yu Yu and Bai Lian, as if they were his family. This was because Yu Yu and Bai Lian possessed a presence that made him feel extremely warm. Just like that, the little boy was carried by Sima Yu Yu onto the 5th-ranked Devil Beast Mount. However, what surprised everyone was that the 5th-ranked Devil Beast Mount was actually able to bear the little boy's weight with ease. It was as if the little boy's petite body was no longer as heavy as it used to be. The 3 Yin brothers looked at this scene with a bitter expression. Now, they didn't need to think to know that the little boy was resisting the 3 of them just now. He didn't want to follow the 3 of them, so his body became so heavy that the 3 of them couldn't move him at all. Chapter 13:13. Just when Yu Yu and Bai Lian were about to return to the city lord's estate with the boy, the space within a radius of 100 meters suddenly froze. All the people in the area were immobilized, including the Saint Ruler, who secretly protected Bai Lian. Chapter 13:08. Yu Yu, as soon as the space there froze, the walls of 2 restaurants on the 2 sides of the street loudly shattered. 2 figures shot out with lightning-like speed. Both of them wielded pitch-black daggers. One of them charged toward Yu Yu, while the other charged toward Bai Lian. The 2 of them moved extremely quickly. They seemed to have fused with the space around them, using spatial force to arrive before Yu Yu and Bai Lian in a short moment. They stabbed their daggers toward Yu Yu and Bai Lian's foreheads in an attempt to disperse their souls, so that even Class 7 Radiant Saint Masters would not be able to save them. This time, the strongest person in Yu Yu and Bai Lian's group of guards was only a Saint Ruler. They did not have any Holy Emperor to secretly protect them, so the group of extremely powerful guards was completely useless against the 2 assassins who had reached the level of the Holy Emperor. They were reduced to mere decorations. Even the Saint Ruler who secretly protected them was the same. He was immobilized by the frozen space created by the Holy Emperor. However, not everyone within a radius of 100 meters was affected by the frozen space created by the 2 Holy Emperor assassins. The boy in golden clothes who sat on the Class 5 magical beast with you was not affected at all. He stared at the 2 Holy Emperor assassins with his large, innocent eyes. He seemed to be around 3 or 4 years old, but he seemed to be able to capture the figures of the 2 Holy Emperor assassins. At the same time, a gentle white light rose from Sima Yu Yu's body. The moon god scepter that Sima Yu Yu had placed in her interspatial ring flew out by itself. It was small and exquisite, and the ancient patterns were clearly visible, especially the white gem on the top, which was the size of a fist. It emitted a gentle moonlight. The moon god's scepter hovered in front of Yu Yu. Suddenly, a powerful ripple of energy surged out from the fist-sized white gem at the top of the scepter. It formed a barrier that seemed weak, but was extremely powerful. It enveloped Yu Yu and Bai Lian. This was the power that Fairy Hao Yue had left behind all those years ago. It was the power of the Holy Emperor when she was at her peak, and it had been activated at a crucial moment. At this moment, the 2 Holy Emperor assassins were less than a meter away from Yu Yu and Bai Lian. A gleam of light immediately flashed through the eyes of the 2 Holy Emperor assassins when they saw Yu Yu and Bai Lian become protected by the barrier of energy. They struck out as hard as they could. The tremendous energy within them surged into their daggers, cutting through the surrounding space. They were determined to kill them in a single strike. At this moment, the little boy's gaze finally underwent some subtle changes. He was no longer at a loss, nor was he filled with curiosity towards everything. Instead, his eyes had become as bright as the stars, and there was also a hint of anger mixed within. The boy could sense the killing intent from the 2 Holy Emperor assassins. If the 2 Holy Emperor assassins had tried to assassinate anyone else, even if they had tried to assassinate Yu Yu and Bai Lian's guards, the boy would not have reacted at all. However, they had chosen to assassinate Yu Yu and Bai Lian, whom the boy found to be extremely close and warm. In the blink of an eye, the boy struck out. He extended his 2 tender, white hands. The golden light on his palms was even more dazzling than gold, and even more dazzling than the sun. The golden light directly enveloped the two holy emperor assassins. In the next moment, before the two holy emperor assassins' daggers could reach the barrier of moonlight around Yu and Bai Lian, their rapidly approaching bodies came to a halt. They had been trapped in the air by a mysterious and powerful force. The two holy emperor assassins were greatly shocked. They had been holy emperor experts for many years. Although they had not reached perfection, even a perfection holy emperor would not be able to trap them completely. At most, they would only be able to slow them down for a moment. However, they were now trapped by this mysterious force. Not only were they unable to move at all, even the energy within their bodies was no longer under their control. They had become completely ordinary people, which left them extremely shocked. The two holy emperor assassins had been trapped. The space within 100 meters that had been frozen by the holy emperor's ability returned to normal. The several dozen guards in the surroundings all reacted. There are assassins. Protect the Vice City Lord and Yu. The hidden saint ruler called out. He was the first to aggressively charge toward the two holy emperor assassins. However, his face had already paled. It was not because he had been frightened by the two holy emperor assassins, but because of Yu and Bai Lian. He understood just how important Yu and Bai Lian were to Jinshin. If the two of them were assassinated right under his nose, he would have to bear a great responsibility. At that time, he would probably have to die to atone for his crimes. A firework shot into the air, producing a great explosion. The entire city could see it. A guard immediately sent out a distress signal. The saint ruler had already arrived beside one of the holy emperor assassins. He swung his machete at Luo Qi's neck without any hesitation. Even though Luo Qi possessed the strength of a holy emperor, he was currently trapped by the boy's terrifying ability. Not only was he unable to move, but he could not even use the power within him or any of the holy emperor's abilities. He was unable to dodge the saint ruler's attack. All he could do was watch as the blazing red machete moved toward his neck. Spurt. Luo Qi's neck was effortlessly severed from his body. Blood spurted 10 meters into the air, but as long as the soul of a holy emperor was not destroyed, they would never die. The saint ruler was stunned by how easily he had beheaded a holy emperor, but he soon returned to his senses. Without any hesitation, he swung his machete at Luo Qi's head a second time in an attempt to destroy his soul. Luo Qi's head was cleaved in half by the saint ruler once again. His fragile soul was directly reduced to nothingness, having been destroyed. Chapter 13-14. The eyes of the sect master of the underworld sect widened. They were filled with a deep sense of unwillingness and humiliation. He was a mighty holy emperor, only a step away from the peak of holy emperor. Even across the entire Tianyuan continent, he was someone who could do whatever he wanted. However, he was currently covered in wounds from a group of ant-like Heaven Saint Masters and even Earth Saint Masters. This was a great humiliation that he would never be able to wash away. However, it just so happened that he was unable to do anything about it. A mysterious and powerful force had restrained him, causing him to completely lose the ability to resist. He had become a living target that allowed a group of ant-like existences to heavily injure him. Spurt, 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 spurt. Several dozen Earth Saint Masters and Heaven Saint Masters swung their saint weapons at Gu Zhan's vital points. In the blink of an eye, Gu Zhan was covered in blood. He was covered in countless wounds. More than half of his neck had been chopped off. Only a third of his flesh was still connected to his head, almost causing his head to fall off. Even his head was covered in wounds, and one of his eyes was blind. Although Gu Zhan was an extremely powerful Saint King, he was still a human after all. He did not possess an innately tough body like magical beasts. If a Class 8 magical beast encountered the same situation, it would probably be able to endure an attack from a Saint Ruler without being injured at all, just by relying on the toughness of its body. Am I going to die at the hands of a group of ants today? God damn it, I never thought that there would be a holy emperor hidden in Flame City. Is it Fairy Haoyue? No, that's impossible. All that's left of Fairy Haoyue is her soul. She doesn't possess the strength she had when she was alive. Gu Zhan roared inside. Gu Zhan roared madly in his heart. He would rather die in the hands of an expert of the same level as him than be killed by a group of ants. He struggled as hard as he could, but the mysterious force that trapped him was far more powerful than he had imagined. No matter how hard he tried, it was useless. This person is a saint ruler at the very least. People who have reached that level of strength will never die as long as their souls remain intact. Let's cut off his head together. A heaven saint master called out. He was unable to tell whether Gu Zhan was a saint ruler or a holy emperor with his strength. He only knew that only saint rulers possess the ability to lock down space. With that, the other protectors all slashed at Gu Zhan's head. In a short while, Gu Zhan's head was chopped to pieces by the group of protectors. However, his soul did not disperse. Instead, it condensed into an illusionary figure in the air. It was as thin as smoke. The strongest of the guards was only a 6th cycle Heaven Saint Master, so they were clearly unable to destroy Gu Zhan's soul with a single strike. However, they had heavily injured Gu Zhan's soul, causing it to become extremely illusory. Seeing that Gu Zhan was still alive even after all this, the group of guards was immediately shocked. Suddenly, a sliver of joy appeared on Gu Zhan's face. He could sense that the mysterious force that trapped him had vanished, which overjoyed him. Without any hesitation, he immediately tried to flee. However, at this moment, a fiery red blade of light flashed. The saint ruler who secretly protected by Lien charged over in time. The blade in his hand was wrapped in flames as he swung it toward Gu Zhan's soul with an unstoppable force. The strength of a saint ruler was not something a group of heaven saint masters could compare to. Gu Zhan's soul, which had become much weaker, was directly dispersed by the saint ruler from the flame mercenaries. His soul was wiped out. After Gu Zhan's soul dispersed, the saint ruler slowly pulled his blade back. His face was flushed while his body trembled in an undetectable manner. This was caused by extremely great excitement. This was because only he knew that the two people who had assassinated Yu Yu and Bai Lian were not saint rulers. They were holy emperor experts, yet he had actually killed 2 holy emperor experts as a saint ruler. If news of this spread to the Tian Yuan continent, it would definitely shake up the entire continent, which made him feel extremely proud. The moon god scepter was already in Sima Yu Yu's hands. It was just that the gemstone on it had dimmed a little. Although Yu Yu and Bai Lian had just experienced something shocking, their expressions did not change at all. This was because Yu Yu had always carried the scepter with her. It contained a portion of the power that Fairy Hao Yue had left behind in the past, let alone being attacked by a holy emperor. Even if they were attacked by a holy emperor, it would be enough to last until they arrived at the bright Moon Divine Hall. Little brother, thank you so much earlier. If it weren't for you, I probably would have been in danger. Yu Yu pulled the scepter back and gently rubbed the boy's head. She was filled with love. The little boy immediately felt a warm feeling spread to his heart, as if he was being cared for by a close relative. It made him feel comfortable, made him feel tranquil, and made him feel incomparable enjoyment. The feeling of closeness and familiarity that came from Sima Yu Yu became even more intense. The boy suddenly turned his head and stared at Yu Yu. His large, black eyes were watery and innocent, but they were also filled with curiosity. A while later, he finally stammered, "Mrs. Sister." The boy seemed to have never spoken before, so calling out sister seemed extremely difficult and awkward. Yu Yu immediately became overjoyed. She happily called out, "Oh, my little brother, you've finally spoken. I had thought you couldn't speak." Yu Yu was unable to contain her excitement. She understood the boy's background very well. Just how proud was it to be called sister by an Origin Realm expert? "Little brother, be good and listen to me. Call me Big Sister." Balian also made her way over. She stared at the boy lovingly, completely ignoring the 2 mangled corpses in front of her. "Sister." The boy stared at Bai Lian and called her sister again, but this time it was much smoother. Yu Yu and Bai Lian both gave off an extremely familiar and warm presence, so the boy did not feel any resistance towards them. He even felt like Yu Yu and Bai Lian were his family. "Little brother, I bet you don't remember your name anymore. Why don't you let Big Sister by Lian give you a name? Seeing as you're wearing a set of golden clothes, I'll just call you Xiao Jin. Bai Lian giggled happily. The little boy tilted his head and thought seriously for a while. Then he stammered Xiao. Xiao. Jin. 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 At this moment, a large group of guards and saint rulers hurried over from the city lord's estate. The person in the lead was Bai Hai. His face was filled with worry, but when he saw that Yu Yu and Bai Lian were fine, he finally let out a sigh of relief. It's a good thing you guys are fine. Otherwise, this old man would regret it to death. By the way, have you found out who is trying to assassinate you? Once we find out who is behind this, we will not let them off easily, Bai Hai said with a face full of fear. His face immediately became serious as he spoke. Bai Hai, the two people who tried to assassinate the Vice City Lord and Princess you are both experts of the Holy Emperor. The saint ruler in charge of protecting them said sternly. Bai Lian's face immediately changed when she heard that. After a moment of silence, she called out, "Carry their corpses away. Looks like we can only deal with this matter after my grandson returns." The Holy Emperor had exceeded the limits of Bai Hai's abilities. Aside from the bright Moon Divine Hall, there was no other method to deal with the Holy Emperor in Flame City. Yu Yu and Bai Lian returned to the city lord's estate in a grand fashion under the protection of a group of guards. However, a little boy in golden clothes appeared in the estate after that. He followed Yu Yu and Bai Lian like a shadow, basically sticking to them at all times. He said very little and was extremely obedient, making him lovable. He would also approach Bai Hai of his own accord from time to time, hanging around Bai Hai. Bai Hai took a liking to the child. Yu Yu also secretly told Bai Lian and Bai Hai about Xiao Jin's true identity. Bai Lian was skeptical while Bai Hai laughed aloud. He completely believed that Yu Yu was joking, so he did not believe her at all. Chapter 13:15. The sun in the world of Forsaken Saints was as red as blood, illuminating the ground with its demonic red light. The temperature was so high that people felt like they were being burned by fire when they touched their skin. The cultivation resources in the world of Forsaken Saints were incomparable to those on the Tian Yuan continent. To the people of the Tian Yuan continent, the world of Forsaken Saints was like a legendary paradise, a holy land for cultivation. However, in terms of scenery, the Tian Yuan continent was like a paradise on earth. A few of the famous mountains and rivers on the Tian Yuan continent were so beautiful that no place in the world of Forsaken Saints could compare to them. To the east of the world of Forsaken Saints was a tremendous mountain range that was only second to the world mountains. All the precipitous peaks of the mountain range seemed to have been flattened by a sharp sword. Majestic castles and halls had been built on them. Especially in the center of these ancient palaces, there was a huge divine palace that was over 100,000 meters in length and width, and several thousand meters in height. The entire divine palace seemed to be made of white jade, and it was snow white all over. Under the illumination of the blood-red sun, it reflected circles of different colors, which was very enchanting. This was the holiest and noblest place in the world of Forsaken Saints, the Sacred Hall. The Sacred Hall was supreme in the world of Forsaken Saints because it ruled over the entire world. If the world of Forsaken Saints was an extremely vast empire, the Sacred Hall would be the imperial palace. The master of the Sacred Hall, the Spirit King, would be the current emperor. He possessed supreme authority and could command the world. At this moment, the white-robed Spirit King sat on a throne with a metal sword on his back in the most sacred hall of the Sacred Hall. Below him, over 40 Origin Realm experts sat on the two sides quietly. Below them were the illusionary souls of several dozen Holy Emperor at great perfection. Spirit King, the world is pitifully weak. Not even a single Holy Emperor has appeared. Spirit King, the world lacks origin energy and the energy of the world is thin. The strongest people, there are only great perfection Holy Emperor at our level, and there are only over 1,000 of them. Spirit King, although there is no origin energy in that world, the scenery is extremely beautiful. It's like paradise. I swear that I've never seen such a beautiful world The several dozen Great Perfection monarchs all told the Holy Spirit King everything they had learned on the Tian Yuan continent. They did not hide anything. The Spirit King and the other Origin Realm experts all frowned when they heard that. The strength of the Tian Yuan continent was far too different from what they had imagined. Spirit King, there's an extremely terrifying icy plane in that world. As soon as I was teleported there, I was frozen by extremely powerful ice. I lost consciousness before I could even struggle. Another Holy Spirit Emperor at Great Perfection politely replied. However, this only caught the attention of the Spirit King and the other Origin Realm experts. There were many places in the world of Forsaken Saints that could instantly kill a Holy Spirit Emperor at Great Perfection, so it was not enough to catch their attention. Spirit King, since there's no Origin energy in that world, it's impossible for an Origin Realm expert to appear. It looks like it's extremely likely that the Origin Realm expert guarding the seal is a spirit born from the world, because only a spirit like that can continue to cultivate in such a harsh environment, said Aridorni. He had lived for several tens of thousands of years, so he was knowledgeable and knew many secrets. He was not someone that the 800-year-old Spirit King could compare to. Elder Mutu is right. The Origin Realm expert must be a spirit born from the world. There aren't many of them. Spirit King, what should we do next? Another Aridorni elder asked. The Spirit King remained silent for a while before coldly replying. The plan remains the same. Once the tunnel stabilizes, let the 500 guards enter that world. Since the people there don't welcome us, we can only conquer them through force. But the guard are only as strong as the Holy Spirit Emperor. They won't be able to stop the Origin Realm expert, another Aridorni elder said with some worry. The Spirit King remained emotionless. The metal sword on his back produced a clear thrum and flew into his hand as a dark streak of light. The Spirit King gently rubbed the sword and said, "Let my Cloudstream sword deal with the Origin Realm expert. I'll leave a portion of my power in the sword. Although it won't be able to unleash my full strength, it'll be more than enough to keep the Origin Realm expert busy." In the sea region, in the territory of the Sea Goddess Hall, a huge divine hall stood in the main camp of the Tao family. With the divine hall as the center, many new houses have been built around it. Some of the ordinary clansmen of the Tao family's alliance live there. Ever since the alliance of the Tao family had experienced an intense battle with the Turtle Clan, they had always kept the divine hall outside. All the important people of the alliance, as well as the Saint Kings of the alliance, resided in the divine hall to prevent the ruler of the Turtle Clan from leading a group of experts to suddenly attack them. Although the alliance of the Tao family had suffered heavy losses in the battle last time, where several holy emperors had died and the violent shockwaves had even damaged the foundation of the Tao family, the Tao family did not weaken at all. Instead, they had become even more powerful. This was because Tao Jingtian had used this opportunity to completely control the various clans of the alliance. He possessed a divine hall that could only be destroyed by emperors. The holy emperors of the alliance were worried about the revenge of the Turtle Clan, so they could only join the Tao family to protect themselves. At this moment, Tao Jingtian sat at the very front of the divine hall, while the holy emperors of the alliance sat below him in an orderly manner. Although they were very reluctant to see their relationship with the Tao family go from being allies to being subordinates, there was nothing they could do. The strength of the Turtle Clan has exceeded all of our imaginations. We may have a divine hall, so the Turtle Clan can't do anything to us, but at the same time, we have a divine hall as well. The Turtle Clan also has a divine hall, so there's nothing we can do about them. The enmity between our alliance and the Turtle Clan is so deep that it's impossible to resolve it. Only one of us can continue to exist. According to my understanding, the ruler of the Turtle Clan possesses unprecedented talent. His strength increases extremely quickly, going from the 15-star to the 16-star in just a few short years. He's even at the peak of the 16th star. If this continues, the ruler of the Turtle Clan will probably become an emperor before long, Tao Jingtian said with a heavy voice. He was extremely stern. The holy emperors below were surprised. Someone immediately questioned, "Patriarch Tao, becoming an emperor isn't so easy. Aren't you overestimating him a little too much by saying that the ruler of the Turtle Clan will become an emperor? That's right. Patriarch Tao, the ruler of the Turtle Clan, does have some ability. I believe he can become an elder of the Divine Hall, but I don't believe he can become an emperor. The holy emperors all voiced their doubts. Tao Zhengtian slowly said, "Who knows what will happen in the future? I've specially investigated the ruler of the Turtle Clan. According to what I know, the ruler of the Turtle Clan was not even at the 14 star a few years ago. The Grand Elder of the Turtle Clan was slain by the 5 magical beasts and the 8 human experts because he wanted to protect the ruler of the Turtle Clan. Only a short amount of time has passed, yet the ruler of the Turtle Clan has already become a 16 star expert. This speed is unbelievable. The old man really had no idea what heavenly resource could increase his strength to such a level in such a short amount of time. As a result, the old man has concluded that the ruler of the Turtle Clan possesses shocking talent and tremendous potential. If he is allowed to mature successfully, he will definitely become an emperor in the future. At that time, we won't be able to escape death, even with the Divine Hall." The faces of the holy emperors all became ugly. Their hearts all became extremely heavy. Tao Xingtian continued, "As a result, we need to kill the ruler of the Turtle Clan before he matures. Patriarch Tao, the Turtle Clan has more experts than us now, and they also have a Divine Hall. We don't have the power to kill the ruler of the Turtle Clan," a holy emperor bitterly said. Tao Xingtian sinisterly smiled. "The old man has his own plans for this. If we succeed, the ruler of the Turtle Clan will be dead for sure. Even with the assistance of the Divine Hall, the outcome will not change." Tao Xingtan immediately announced the end of the meeting before silently leaving the Divine Hall without alerting anyone. He hurried back to the territory of the Serpent God Hall as quickly as he could. At the same time, there were only a few days left before the 2-month deadline in the Xianwang microcosm. Jianshan and Tai Ta, who had benefited greatly, set off on their return journey in satisfaction. They used the markings they had left behind as a guide and hurried back to the exit of the Xianhuang microcosm as quickly as they could. The Xianhuang microcosm was extremely large. In the past month or so, the two of them had only covered 1/10 of it. Even with that being the case, they had still managed to find many heavenly resources and the energy crystals of Class 9 Xianhuang beasts. However, what made Jianshin most excited was not the large amount of heavenly resources he had obtained from the trip to the microcosm this time. Instead, he had found all the materials to forge the azulate swords. The dream that he had been waiting for all these years was finally about to come true. Chapter 13:16. The Xianhuang microcosm was extremely large. Over the past month, the two of them had only explored 1/10 of it. Even with that being the case, they had found many heavenly resources and the energy crystals of Class 9 Xianhuang beasts. However, what excited Jianshan the most about this trip was not the large amount of heavenly resources he had obtained. Instead, it was the fact that he had found all the materials to forge the azulate swords. The dream that he had been looking forward to for so many years was finally about to come true. A day later, a holy emperor elder politely walked into the majestic yet extremely quiet Divine Hall in the central Divine Hall within the territory of the Serpent God Hall. He politely said to the empty hall, "Hall Master, the ancestor of one of the peak clans in the territory of the Poseidon Hall, Tao Xingtian, wishes to see you. He says he has something important to report to the Hall Master." The Tao family in the territory of the Poseidon Hall? In this spacious hall, a low voice sounded out of nowhere. The voice came from all directions, and it was impossible to find the source of the voice. "Esteemed Hall Master, it is the Tao family in the territory of the Poseidon Hall. Tao Xingtian is currently outside the Divine Hall and wishes to see the Hall Master," the elder politely replied. The Hall Master of the Poseidon Hall pondered for a while before saying, "Not long ago, the Turtle Clan and the Tao family engaged in an intense battle. The Tao family suffered heavy losses, so I already know why Tao Xingtian has come. Let him in." "Yes, sir." The Holy Emperor Elder of the Poseidon Hall bowed and retreated. Before long, The patriarch of the Tao family, Tao Jingtian, arrived in the majestic hall under the lead of the elder. Tao Jingtian immediately dismissed his arrogance as soon as he arrived. He lowered his head slightly and became respectful. He did not even dare to breathe too loudly. He did not even dare to look around. "Esteemed Hall Master, Tao Jingtian is here," the elder politely replied. "You are dismissed." "Yes, Hall Master." Only Tao Jingtian remained in the extremely spacious hall after the elder left. He immediately bowed towards the empty throne before him and politely said, "Tao Jingtian greets the esteemed Hall Master." The Hall Master of the Poseidon Hall did not appear, but his deep voice boomed through the hall. "Tao Jingtian, I know why you've come. You want me to help you deal with Jianshin." The Hall Master of Dragon God Temple's voice seemed to contain endless pressure. Tao Jingtian immediately felt like his soul was about to be crushed by the Hall Master of Dragon God Temple's voice. This immediately terrified Tao Jingtian, and his respect for the Hall Master of Dragon God Temple became even more intense. The esteemed Hall Master is extremely wise, actually being able to understand why I've come. The Hall Master is correct. I have indeed come this time in hopes that the Hall Master can act righteously and eliminate the threat that is the ruler of the Turtle Clan so that my Tao family can be saved, Tao Jingtian said humbly. He did not possess the presence of the patriarch of the Tao family at all. Your Tao family is an organization that belongs to Hall Poseidon's territory. It has nothing to do with our Serpent God Hall. So why should I save your Tao family? The Hall Master of Dragon God Temple growled. Tao Jingtian immediately dropped to one knee and politely replied, "Esteemed Hall Master, the enmity between our Tao family and the ruler of the Turtle Clan is as deep as the ocean. It's impossible to resolve it. In the end, only one of us can continue to exist. However, the ruler of the Turtle Clan has an unknown relationship with Hall Master Poseidon, so it's impossible for Hall Master Poseidon to protect our Tao family. Across the entire sea realm, only the Hall Master can save our Tao family, so please protect our Tao family." Tao Jingtian paused before continuing. Not only does the ruler of the Turtle Clan, Jianshin, have extremely deep enmity with our Tao family, but he has never taken the sacred Serpent God Hall seriously either. Back then, the arrogant ruler of the Turtle Clan used the 8 Wastelands Divine Hall to challenge the dignity of the Serpent God Hall. His crime is unforgivable, and even cutting him to pieces is not enough to make up for it. It's just that the ruler of the Turtle Clan possesses unprecedented talent. His rate of growth is just far too fast. In just a few short years, his strength has increased from the 14th star to the 16th star at an unbelievable speed, and he's even at the peak of the 16th star. If he has a little more time, the ruler of the Turtle Clan might even become an existence at the level of emperors. At that time, not only will he destroy our Tao family, but he'll probably cause even more trouble in the Serpent God Hall fearlessly, causing endless problems for the esteemed Hall Master. The Hall Master of the Dragon God Temple fell silent after hearing Tao Jingtian's analysis. Only after quite a while did he reply, "That does make some sense. Jianshin's talent is indeed very great. His rate of growth is so fast that even I am astounded. In the future, he might really become an emperor." Tao Jingtian rejoiced inside. He knew that the Hall Master of the Turtle Clan had become slightly interested, so he struck while the iron was still hot. He sternly said, "Esteemed Hall Master, we can't let the ruler of the Turtle Clan become an emperor because he belongs to the territory of the Poseidon Hall in the first place. At the same time, he has a special relationship with the Hall Master of the Poseidon Hall. If he becomes an emperor, then the strength of the hall will skyrocket. At that time, the situation of the entire sea realm will probably change drastically, which will be extremely disadvantageous to you. As a result, the ruler of the Turtle Clan must be eliminated as soon as possible." This time, the Hall Master of the Dragon God Temple remained silent for quite a while. He seemed to have sensed the threat that the ruler of the Turtle Clan posed to him. Right now, the sea realm was divided into 3 factions. Each territory was ruled by an emperor, so they kept each other in check. If the Hall of the Poseidon Hall gained another holy emperor, the current situation of the Sea Realm would definitely change. After quite a while, the Home Master of the Dragon God Temple finally spoke. Tao Zhengtian, the three of us have a treaty that forbids us from invading the territories of others. At the same time, that little girl Yadrium became an emperor slightly later than the emperor, but her strength is unfathomable. She's very difficult to deal with, so it's not good for me to cross the boundary and kill the ruler of the Turtle Clan. You'll be responsible for drawing the ruler of the Turtle Clan to the territory of the Serpent God Hall. As soon as he sets foot in the territory of the Serpent God Hall, I'll be able to kill him fearlessly. At that time, even Yadrium won't be able to say anything. Chapter 13-17. Basically, all the experts of the Holy Emperor on the Tian-Yuan continent had gathered in Mercenary City. Only a few saint rulers could temporarily remain uninvolved because the threat from the world of Forsaken Saints required the strength of a Holy Emperor at the very least. As for saint rulers, they were no different from cannon fodder before a group of Holy Emperor or Holy Emperor experts. Although there were many more saint rulers on the Tian-Yuan continent compared to the Holy Emperor, their numbers were extremely limited. Unless they were at their wits' end, they would not let saint rulers die for nothing because they were the future of the Tian-Yuan continent. At this moment, over 30 people of various ages had gathered in the ancestral hall of the Chanyang Prefecture. They were all saint rulers. There were even a few people who had reached the 9th heavenly layer of saint ruler. They were only a step away from the Holy Emperor. A dignified 9th heavenly layer saint ruler old man said, "Everyone, I've gathered you here today to discuss an important matter. Not only does this matter affect the dignity of our protector clan in the Chanyang Prefecture, but it also affects the dignity and status of our protector clan in the Chanyang Prefecture." The old man who spoke was Chanyang Qingyi. He was the person with the greatest status in the Qing branch aside from the respected great elders. This was not only because he was a 9th heavenly layer saint ruler, but also because of his shocking talent. Chanyang Qing, he was one of the few people who had grasped a saint-tier battle skill as a saint ruler. At the same time, he basically had half a foot in the Holy Emperor's realm. He would become the 4th great elder of the Qing branch soon. The saint rulers of the Qing and Yuan branches said nothing. They all looked at Chanyang Qingyi. Now that the great elders of the Chanyang Prefecture were not present, Chanyang Qing had vaguely become the pillar of support. Chanyang Qingyi paused. He looked around and became extremely stern. I think some people have already guessed what I'm going to say next. That's right, I'm going to talk about the matter of the Zhu branch breaking away from our protector clan. Since ancient times, the Zhu, Yuan, and Qing branches of the Chanyang Prefecture have been one family. Yet the people of the Zhu branch actually broke away from us for a single saint's fruit. They even colluded with magical beasts to trap our Chanyang Prefecture in a miniature world. Our Chanyang Prefecture is one of the 10 protector clans of the continent, after all. When have we ever been humiliated like this? As a result, we can't just let this matter go. The respected great elders have gone to Mercenary City for important matters, so they can't leave for now. As a result, we need to personally take action to recover the dignity of our Chanyang Prefecture. Chanyang Qingyi, do you plan on making trouble for the Chanyang Prefecture in Lore City? What if we come across the 3 magical beasts again? They're not people we can deal with, another 9th heavenly layer saint ruler old man asked. Chanyang Qingyi smiled mysteriously. That's not right. We're not going to make trouble for the Chanyang Prefecture in Lore City. Instead, we're going to deal with the internal matters of our clan and reunite the people of the Zhu branch with our protector clan. It won't be that easy for the Zhu branch to break away from our protector clan. There's no need to worry about the 3 magical beasts. According to what I know, basically all the holy emperors on the continent are gathered in Mercenary City. The 3 magical beasts are no exception. Chanyang Prefecture no longer has a holy emperor watching over it. There are only a few old friends that we know. Chanyang Qingyi is right. We've been sealed in the miniature world for so long, so we can't just swallow our anger and do nothing. Otherwise, people will look down on us, a red-robed man in red said emotionlessly. He was a saint ruler from the Yuan branch, and he had reached the peak of the 8th heavenly layer. The other saint rulers obviously had no objections when they saw that the representatives of the Qing and Yuan branches had agreed. They all agreed to Changyang Qingyi's suggestion. A few days ago, they were imprisoned in the small world like prisoners, which made all of them have a bellyful of anger in their hearts. What they lacked was only a leader. Lore City and Chanyang Prefecture in the Kingdom of Jessen remained as peaceful as before. However, a few hermit clans or ancient clans would visit them from time to time. Because of Chanyang Prefecture, even the status of the Kingdom of Jessen on the continent had increased. It had developed from an unknown kingdom to a kingdom that was even more renowned than the 8 great nations. Although the strength of the Kingdom of Jessen did not increase by leaps and bounds, its status could not be mentioned in the same breath. Suddenly, the space above the Chanyang clan began to violently distort. A space gate rapidly formed, and before the person had even emerged, a tremendous presence surged out like a tsunami. It permeated the entire region of space and enveloped the entire city. Afterward, saint rulers swarmed out of the space gate one after another. There were over 30 of them, and they all hovered in the air, crushing Chanyang Prefecture beneath their feet. These people were the saint rulers of the Yuan and Qing branches who had hurried over from the protector clan of Chanyang Prefecture. They had come through the space gates in their clans, so there was no need for the Holy Emperor to do anything. Everyone in the city sensed the arrival of over 30 saint rulers, because their presences were just too powerful. They had even eclipsed the presences of the Holy Emperor, causing the surroundings to churn and the energy of the world to become violent. It alarmed everyone in the city. Over a dozen saint rulers sensed that the newcomers had ill intentions in the forbidden grounds of Chanyang Prefecture, so they rose into the air as soon as possible. All the saint rulers of the Zhu branch who had been cultivating in seclusion moved out, facing off against the Yuan and Qing branches in the air. They all glared at the newcomers. "So it's you. What are you doing here?" A 9th heavenly layer old man among the saint rulers of the Zhu branch growled. Their Zhu branch had already fallen out with the Yuan and Qing branches long ago. They no longer interacted with each other. Chanyang Qing coldly smiled. The Chanyang Prefecture of Lore City has always been a branch of our protector clan, so we can obviously come and go as we please. Why do we need a reason? Nonsense. The Chanyang Prefecture of Lore City was founded by my master, Chanyang Zhu Yunkong. Now that my master is no longer a member of the protector clan, the Chanyang Prefecture of Lore City obviously has nothing to do with your protector clan. Changbo flew up from below in the guise of a caretaker and said forcefully. Chapter 13:18. Since when do you, a servant, have the right to tell us what to do? Chang Wuji, do you really think that you have the right to stand on the same level as us just because you become a saint ruler? A saint ruler from the Yuan branch coldly glared at Chang Wuji. Chang Wuji, don't forget your status. You were only a dog that we adopted back then. If a dog dares to bite its master, the master can kill the dog at any time. A saint ruler from the Yuan branch coldly called out. He spoke coldly. He looked at Chang Wuji like he was looking at a servant. They were all direct descendants of the protector clan in Chanyang Prefecture, so they were born with a sense of superiority and pride. Chang Wuji was born with a lowly background, so even though he had become a saint ruler, he was still looked down upon by the saint rulers of the protector clan. The saint rulers from the Zhu branch all remained emotionless. None of them said anything. They did not have a deep relationship with Chang Wuji, so they did not stand up for him. Below in Chanyang Prefecture, the patriarch of the Chanyang Prefecture, Chanyang Ba, and many other important members of the clan became extremely furious when they saw Changbo being insulted. If they had enough strength, they would have charged up and cut the person who insulted Changbo to pieces without a doubt. Changbo was only a caretaker of Chanyang Prefecture, but his status in the clan was extremely great. Not to mention that Changbo was now a saint ruler, no longer the heaven saint master of the past. His status had greatly increased. These people have gone too far. They've actually insulted Changbo like this. It's a pity that Xianger isn't here, or I'd definitely make them suffer today, Changyang Ba said through gritted teeth. His face had already paled from anger. Bai Yintian, Yufeng Yin, Ling Long, and Bai Yushuang beside Changyang Bao were the same. Changbo had already been the caretaker of Changyang Prefecture for several hundred years. He took great care of everyone in the clan, managing all the miscellaneous matters in Changyang Prefecture loyally. He had never complained, so Changbo's prestige in Changyang Prefecture was unmatched. Everyone loved and respected him. After Changbo became a saint ruler, he continued to be a caretaker, basically becoming the first saint ruler caretaker on the continent. He did not change at all because of his increase in strength, so he gained the respect of everyone in the clan. As a result, the people of the Yuan and Qing branches had insulted Changbo. This had basically infuriated everyone in Changyang Prefecture. Only a few people from the Zhu branch did not do anything because they were not on good terms with Changbo. The saint ruler ancestors of the Zhu branch don't seem to be willing to stand up for Changbo. Now that we're outnumbered, I hope Changbo will be fine, Bai Yintian said worriedly. Bai Yintian said worriedly. She was very worried about Uncle Chang's safety. Although Uncle Chang had become a saint ruler, he was only at the first heavenly layer. A sliver of determination immediately appeared in Changyang Ba's eyes when he heard that. With a flip of his hand, he pulled out 2 fist-sized rocks from his space ring. He gritted his teeth. I have quaking thunders left behind by Xiang Air. Xiang Air said that the quaking thunders have been filled with energy by the Holy Emperor. Although they might not be able to harm the Holy Emperor, they're more than enough to deal with saint rulers. If they dare to harm Changbo, I can only take action. In the sky, Chang Wuji acted like he did not hear the humiliation. He remained composed and said, That's right. I, Chang Wuji, was indeed picked up by my master on the streets and brought back to the Protector clan. If you want to call me a dog, then my master will only ever be Changyang Zhu Yinkong. I have nothing to do with you people from the Yuan and Qing branches. The saint ruler from the Qing branch became furious when he heard that. He yelled out, How dare mere dog speak to us like that? I, Changyang Oyama, have said that if a dog dares to bite its master can make the dog disappear forever at any time. Changyang Aoyama immediately attacked Chang Wuji. He used his saint ruler abilities and fused with the surrounding space. Using spatial force, he arrived before Chang Wuji in a single moment. Energy surged from his hand as he used a secret technique to condense a small azure mountain that he threw toward Chang Wuji. The eyes of the saint rulers from the Zhu branch all narrowed when they saw this. They had already recognized that this was Changyang Aoyama's famed technique, the Aoyama seal. The Aoyama seal was something Changyang Aoyama had modified from an ancient secret technique. It was not a saint-tier battle skill, but it was not much weaker than the battle skills of the saint's world. Coupled with the fact that Changyang Aoyama was a 7th heavenly layer saint ruler, the first heavenly layer Aoyama seal would leave Chang Wuji heavily injured even if he managed to survive. A 9th heavenly layer saint ruler from the Zhu branch immediately wanted to stop Changyang Aoyama. Although they were not on good terms with Chang Wuji, they could not just watch him die before them. However, at this moment, the people from the Qing and Yuan branches all moved as if they had already discussed this. They blocked all the saint rulers from the Zhu branch, preventing them from being able to do anything else. Chang Wuji's face changed. He had never thought that Changyang Aoyama would actually attack him so fearlessly. Although he was also a saint ruler, he understood just how great of a difference there was between him and Changyang Aoyama, so he did not take the attack head-on. Instead, he dodged with all his strength. However, at this moment, the surrounding space suddenly froze, binding Chang Wuji to the spot and slowing down his dodging movements. Chang Wuji's heart sank. He immediately bellowed out, and a powerful force surged out of his body, shattering the frozen space in a single moment. However, he had already lost the best opportunity to dodge due to the delay. He only managed to cast down a layer of energy around himself before being struck by Aoyama's seal. Bang! The seal of Azure Mountain slammed into Chang Wuji's chest with a muffled explosion. Chang Wuji opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood as he was sent flying far away. Changbo! Cries rang out from Changyang Prefecture. The patriarch of the Changyang Prefecture, Changyang Ba, was furious. At that moment, extremely powerful killing intent rapidly surged through Changyang Ba's chest, filling it. Without any hesitation, he threw the 215-star Quaking Thunders at Changyang Aoyama. At that moment, Changyang Ba cast aside all his worries. He did not even consider the consequences of throwing out the Quaking Thunders. He only had a single thought in his head, and that was to avenge Shang Bo. Quaking Thunders were products of the Sea Realm, but a small portion of them would end up on the Tian-Yuan continent. Whether it was the saint rulers of the Zhu branch, Yuan branch, or Qing branch, they all clearly recognized them. Their faces immediately changed as they dodged in all directions, distancing themselves from the Quaking Thunders as soon as possible. The saint rulers of the Zhu branch all landed in Chanyang Prefecture. One of them entered the back courtyard as quickly as possible, and a transparent barrier silently appeared, enveloping the entire Chanyang Prefecture. Chapter 1319. Chanyang Ba returned to his senses after throwing the Quaking Thunders. His expression immediately changed as he cursed inside, because the 2 Quaking Thunders he had thrown out were 15-star Quaking Thunders. They were equivalent to the power of a 5th heavenly layer Holy Emperor. The attacks of a Holy Emperor were so terrifying that even if they exploded several hundred meters in the air, the shockwaves would be enough to flatten Chanyang Prefecture. After all, the Chanyang clan was not one of the 7 capital cities of the Tian-Yuan continent, nor was it Flame City. It was only an extremely ordinary residence. It did not have any defenses at all. However, when Chanyang Ba saw the transparent barrier that had suddenly appeared in the air above Chanyang Prefecture, he finally calmed down slightly. There were still over a dozen saint rulers from the Zhu branch there. If they worked together to cast down a barrier, they might not be able to block the shockwaves from the Quaking Thunders, but they could at least minimize the losses. In the air, the 2 Quaking Thunders shot toward Changyang Aoyama with extremely powerful ripples of energy. All the saint rulers from the Qing and Yuan branches fled in a horrible shape. They were all pale in fright because they could tell that the Quaking Thunders were 15-star Quaking Thunders. Once they exploded, they would erupt with the might of a 1st heavenly layer Holy Emperor at the very least, or even more. The saint rulers from the Qing and Yuan branches all fled from the Quaking Thunders as quickly as they could. None of them wanted to come in contact with the Quaking Thunders, and even Chanyang Aoyama was no exception. He quickly retreated with a pale face. He was both shocked and furious inside. He was shocked that a person with mediocre strength in Chanyang Prefecture would possess Quaking Thunders of such a high level, and he was furious because he was an elder of a protector clan in Chanyang Prefecture after all. It was unforgivable that someone from a mere branch clan dared to throw Quaking Thunders at him. However, Chanyang Aoyama tossed aside all his thoughts very soon. His eyes became filled with fear because he discovered that the 2 15th-star Quaking Thunders had already locked onto his presence and were following him the entire time. It was useless no matter how he tried to flee. At the same time, the energy within the Quaking Thunders was constantly being activated. However, its speed was also getting faster and faster. No! Chanyang Aoyama cried out in fear. His face paled from fright. Even if he managed to survive a single 15-star Quaking Thunder, he would be half dead. If he had to endure 2 Quaking Thunders at the same time, it was extremely likely for him to die. Suddenly, Chanyang Aoyama changed directions and flew in the direction of the most people as quickly as he could. The 2 Quaking Thunders shone with bright white light as they tailed behind him with terrifying pulses of energy. They moved faster and faster. Chanyang Aoyama, you bastard, don't follow us. Run in another direction. God damn it. Chanyang Aoyama, we've never offended you. Don't lead us over. The saint rulers from the Qing and Yuan branches were both surprised and furious. They cursed Chanyang Aoyama's ancestors inside as they fled in all directions. Chanyang Aoyama was filled with bitterness. He had only taught a disrespectful servant a lesson, yet he had never thought that he would be chased by 2 15th-star Quaking Thunders. If he had known earlier that this would happen, he would not have dared to touch Chang Wuji, no matter how bold he was. My presence has been locked onto by the quaking thunders. I can't shake them off. If you don't help me block them for a while, I'll probably die here today, Changyang Aoyama called out. Changyang Qingshan called out. At the same time, he secretly rejoiced. Fortunately, the person who had thrown out the quaking thunder was not powerful, so the quaking thunder was not fast at first, which was why he had been able to flee for so long from the quaking thunder. However, as the quaking thunder's energy was constantly activated, their speed would multiply. At that time, let alone a mere saint ruler like him, even the Holy Emperor would not be able to outrun the quaking thunders. Changyang Qingyi paused and called out, "Everyone, don't panic. We have over 30 saint rulers, so we can still block the 2 quaking thunders if we work together. Everyone gather around me immediately." Everyone's eyes immediately lit up with that. If any one of them had to block the quaking thunders, it would indeed be extremely dangerous. But if they all worked together, the 2 15th-star quaking thunders would not be so terrifying. Almost at the same time, all the saint rulers began to gather around Changyang Qingyi. They all worked together to create a powerful barrier of energy. Afterward, Changyang Aoyama charged over with the 2 15th-star quaking thunders. The quaking thunders collided with the barriers created by the saint rulers of the Yuan and Qing branches and exploded at the same time. With a deafening sound, violent streams of energy wreaked havoc in the surroundings, causing space to distort and the sky to crack. A powerful ripple of energy charged toward Changyang Prefecture below, but it was blocked by Changyang Zhujiao's barrier, so Changyang Prefecture remained unscathed. The faces of all the saint rulers from the Yuan and Qing branches changed. They immediately became rather pale, and the energy barrier they had cast down together collapsed. All of them cast down another layer of energy as soon as possible before being knocked back by the powerful shock waves from the quaking thunders. Changyang Aoyama was the most miserable. The quaking thunders had locked onto his presence, so he had to endure the most powerful attack. Blood sprayed from his mouth as he was blown away like a broken kite. He constantly vomited blood. Although he had managed to survive, he was extremely heavily injured. The ripple of energy from the 2 quaking thunders was very large. Most of Lore City was affected, causing countless buildings to collapse. The entire city was reduced to a mess and many people were injured. Fortunately, many people in Lore City knew about what had happened in Changyang Prefecture, so they were prepared. As a result, no one died. A while later, the ripple of energy from the quaking thunders finally settled down. Everyone in Changyang Prefecture stood there unscathed. The saint rulers of the Qing and Yuan branches gathered in the air above Changyang Prefecture again. All of them were covered in dust and in horrible shapes. As for Changyang Aoyama, he no longer had the power to hover in the air due to his heavy injuries. He was supported by 2 saint rulers from the Qing branch. All of their faces were pale white. They had mobilized so many people just to protect their clans and regain their dignity, to vent their frustrations from being sealed up for so long, as well as to allow the people of the Zhu branch to return to Changyang Prefecture. However, they had never thought that they would end up worse off. Changyang Ba finally let out a sigh of relief when he saw that Changyang Prefecture was unscathed. With a flip of his hand, he pulled out another 2 quaking thunders from his space ring. He angrily yelled at the people in the sky, "I still have quite a few quaking thunders. The 2 from before were at the 15th star. I have a 16th-star one right now. If you dare to act recklessly again, don't blame me for being rude." Not only did they insult Changbo, they even injured Changbo. "We can't let them off so easily today," Bai Yuntian angrily said. Bai Yuntian said furiously. He also took out 2 quaking thunders from his space ring. They were also 16-star quaking thunders. In the past, Jinshin had obtained quite a few 15th and 16th-star quaking thunders from the Sea Realm. He had even obtained a few peak 16th-star quaking thunders. He had basically left all of them to his family. The people from the Qing and Yuan branches all revealed extremely ugly expressions when they saw the 4 16th-star quaking thunders in Changyang Ba and Bai Yuntian's hands. Even the saint rulers from the Zhu branch felt their scalps tingle as their hearts leapt. 16th-star quaking thunders were extremely rare even in the Sea Realm, So why were there so many here? The saint rulers from the Qing and Yuan branches all felt rather embarrassed. It was definitely unprecedented for a mighty protector clan to be threatened by a mere branch clan. If this matter were to spread, they would no longer be able to show their faces in the future. Chanyang Qingyi's face became terrifyingly sunken. He coldly stared at the people below and coldly said, "You've injured an elder of our Qing branch. This matter definitely won't end here. If we can't deal with you, there'll obviously be someone who can." With that, Chanyang Qingyi formed a seal with both hands and used a secret technique to send a message to Chanyang Qingyan. Chapter 1320. Many holy emperor experts and several other holy emperor experts gathered in the air above the ruins of Mercenary City. They paid close attention to the changes in the tunnel beneath Mercenary City. Not far away, dozens of divine palaces floated in the air, exuding a majestic aura. Mercenary City, the 10 guardian families, and some powerful ancient families all moved out of their divine palaces and rested in them, conserving their energy and adjusting themselves to their peak condition. None of them knew when the next wave of attacks from the foreign world would come, but all of them knew that the next wave would definitely be even more terrifying. There might even be holy emperor experts who would descend. This made all of them feel extremely heavy. They did not even have the mood to enter the miniature world of Mercenary City to rest because all of them were worried. Although not all of the holy emperor experts were selfless, they all understood that the world of Forsaken Saints was just too powerful. If they could not stop them in the world of Forsaken Saints, the 4 races of the world would be in danger of being wiped out. At that time, they would not be able to escape death either. As a result, many holy emperor experts had gathered here to guard the tunnel. They were not doing it for their own race, nor were they doing it for their descendants. They were doing it so that they could continue living. Chanyang Qingyun, Chanyang Qingjuri, Chanyang Qingyunfeng, Chanyang Yuan Zhenghua, and Chanyang Yuan Wuji all sat in one of the divine halls in the sky. They moved like statues. Suddenly, Chanyang Qingyun's face changed. He abruptly opened his eyes, and 2 bolts of lightning shot out. They shook the space there and caused it to slightly distort. The other 4 great elders opened their eyes at the same time. Although they were constantly paying attention to the outside world, so they obviously noticed Chanyang Qingyun's change. Chanyang Qingyun stood up. His face was terrifyingly sunken as he said, "Chanyang Aoyama has been injured. The saint rulers of our Qing and Yuan branches have been humiliated by the branch from Lore City. This branch has gone too far. Do they really think that they can trample over our protector clans fearlessly just because they have the support of the 3 magical beasts?" Chanyang Qingyun looked at the other 4 great elders and said with a deep voice, "Everyone, let's go to Lore City in the kingdom of Jessen immediately." Chanyang Qingyun immediately stowed the divine hall away before leaving with the other 4 holy emperor. Their departure alarmed everyone present, but no one stopped them because none of the holy emperor gathered there had the right to interfere with the matters of others. At the same time, Chanyang Zuxiao, Chanyang Zuyin Xiao, and Chanyang Zuyin sat in another divine hall. Suddenly, Chanyang Zuxiao slowly opened his eyes. His gaze was deep as he stared in the direction that Chanyang Qingyun and the others had left. He slowly said, "The people in the clan have sent news that the people of the Qing and Yuan branches have caused some trouble in Lore City. Chanyang Qingyun and the others have just left as well. They must have gone to Lore City. Let's go back and take a look. I've cast down a barrier to protect the clan, but it won't stop Chanyang Qingyun." Lore City was over 1,000,000 kilometers away from Mercenary City, but St. King's only needed to take a single step to traverse such a distance. Soon after Chanyang Qingyun sent the message, a space gate cracked open nearby. Before he had even emerged, a vast and boundless presence surged out from the space gate, causing the space there to freeze. Even the energy of the world had come to a standstill. Afterward, the 5 great elders of the Qing and Yuan branches all emerged from the space gate, with Chanyang Qingyun in the lead. When they saw the saint rulers of the 2 branches in horrible conditions, their faces immediately sank. Sharp killing intent filled their eyes. Afterward, they looked at Chanyang Aoyama, who was covered in blood and was basically hanging from two saint rulers. They became even more furious. How dare a mere branch injure the elders of my Qing branch? How dare you? Chanyang Qing Yinfeng immediately became furious. He bellowed out as energy surged around him. He was about to go crazy. Chanyang Qing Yun arrived beside Chanyang Aoyama in a flash. After carefully inspecting Qing Shan's injuries, his expression became even more unsightly. He said in a deep voice, "Qing Shan's injuries are very serious. He is almost half dead. Even with the use of sacred healing medicine, he will need to recuperate for several years to recover." This branch is becoming bolder and bolder. A few days ago, that bastard Jinshin colluded with outsiders to seal up our Chanyang prefecture. In the end, it was all thanks to the Grand Elder of Mercenary City that we were able to see the light of day again. Today, the people of this branch have actually injured Aoyama to such a degree. This is unforgivable. I will flatten this place today, Chanyang Qing Juri coldly said. Chanyang Qing Juri coldly said. Heavy killing intent filled his eyes as he looked at the people from the Chanyang clan in Lore City. He then sent a palm strike toward the estate below. Chanyang Qing Juri's palm strike had gathered a tremendous amount of energy in the surroundings. The energy of the world wildly gathered toward his hand, condensing into a huge hand that was several hundred meters wide in the end. It pressed down at an extremely fast speed. All the people from the Chanyang clan in Lore City became rather pale. As the energy palm pressed down, all of them felt a great pressure crush down from above, making it difficult for them to breathe. Their chests felt abnormally heavy. A saint ruler from the Zhu branch immediately activated a barrier in the forbidden grounds of Chanyang Prefecture. A transparent barrier silently appeared and blocked Chanyang Qing Juri's strike. The barrier did not budge and shone with a hazy light. Chanyang Qing Juri's strike did not cause the barrier to tremble at all. Chanyang Qing Yin snorted coldly. He took a step forward and appeared before the barrier, as if he had teleported. He coldly said, "I never thought that Chanyang Zhu Xiao would place so much importance on this estate. He's actually cast down such a powerful barrier to protect this place. Looks like he's truly reached great perfection. However, a mere barrier won't be able to stop me. Let me break through this barrier." Heavy killing intent filled Chanyang Qingyun's face. He hated Chanyang Zhu Xiao very much. If Chanyang Zhu Xiao had not stopped him back in the miniature world of Chanyang Prefecture, he would have obtained the saint's fruit long ago and probably become a holy emperor by now. Jinshin obviously would not have been able to escape, nor would he have been sealed up by the three magical beasts. Now, Chanyang Qingyun had made up his mind to destroy the estate to vent his anger. He did not fear the three magical beasts at such a sensitive time because someone would come to stop them. Just when Chanyang Qingyun wanted to take action, another space gate suddenly ripped open nearby. Chanyang Zhu Xiao, Chanyang Zhu Yin Xiao, and Chanyang Zhu Yin hurried over from Mercenary City. Chapter 1321. Chanyang Zhu Xiao stood in front of Chanyang Qingyun. Chanyang Qingyun's face immediately paled. His face sunk as he glared at Chanyang Zhu Xiao. He had never thought that Chanyang Zhu Xiao would arrive so quickly. Now that Chanyang Zhu Xiao was standing in his way, it would not be easy for him to viciously punish the people from the branch clan. Good. Chanyang Zhu Xiao, your people from the Zhu branch are becoming bolder and bolder. You're becoming more and more fearless. First, you betrayed us from the protector clan of Chanyang Prefecture. Then you worked with outsiders to trap us in Chanyang Prefecture. Now, you've even allowed the people from the Zhu branch to injure an elder of our Qing branch, heavily injuring Chanyang Aoyama. Do you really think that you can act so arrogantly just because you have the support of magical beasts? You've challenged the dignity of our protector clan time and time again, Chanyang Qing Yun coldly said. Chanyang Qing Yun coldly said. With that, a tremendous presence radiated from his body, forming an invisible mountain that crushed down on Chanyang Zhu Xiao. He seemed like he was about to engage in a great battle with Changyang Zhuxiao. Changyang Zhuxiao's expression remained the same as before. He remained as still as a mountain, standing firmly in the surroundings like a pine tree. He had truly reached great perfection now, reaching the peak of the Holy Emperor's cultivation. He was at the same level as Changyang Qingyan. Qingyan, everyone knows what happened, so stop trying to confuse people. You asked for everything that happened before. If it weren't for the fact that you wanted the saint's fruit and wanted to do something that would infuriate everyone, what would have happened? What happened afterwards would not have happened. As for Changyang Aoyama's injuries, I'd like to ask you why your people from the Qing and Yuan branches have appeared here. Changyang Zhuxiao said expressionlessly. Changyang Zhuxiao said emotionlessly. He was even more disappointed in the people from the Qing and Yuan branches now. Great Elder, the reason why we've appeared here is because we want the people from the Zhu branch to return to the protector clan of Changyang Prefecture. Although we're split into 3 branches, we've always been one family. If we split up like this, it would be a heavy blow to the clan. Everyone in our generation would be condemned for eternity. How will we face our ancestors in the future? We just never thought that we would be provoked by a mere servant as soon as we arrived here, and the people from the branch used quaking thunders to heavily injure Aoyama. If we hadn't interfered, we probably wouldn't be able to see Aoyama again, Changyang Zhuxiao said. Changyang Qing Yi said. He spoke righteously at the beginning, but when he mentioned Changyang Qing Shan, his voice immediately became sorrowful. He loudly criticized the people from the branch. Nonsense. You were the ones who injured Changbo first. Changyang Ba loudly scolded. He was filled with energy. Although the great elders of the Qing and Yuan branches were present, he was not afraid at all. At this moment, Chang Wuji staggered over from afar. He was covered in blood, and his face was pale. He was injured as well, almost falling out of the sky many times. Changbo, a group of people in Changyang Prefecture cried out. They were all sorrowful and excited. They were sorrowful over Changbo's injuries and excited over the fact that Changbo was still alive. Changyang Zhuxiao waved his hand, and a vast amount of energy in the surroundings immediately gathered. It gently wrapped around Chang Wuji and sent him into the residence. He gently said, "Heal up first. With me here, no one will be able to harm anyone here." Changyang Zhuxiao spoke very softly, but he was filled with a sense of dominance. It caused Changyang Qingyun's face to become extremely ugly. Uncle Chang politely bowed to Changyang Zhuxiao before immediately sitting down to heal. Beside him was Changyang Zhuxiao. Bai Yuntian had already begun to use Radiant Saint techniques. However, her level as a Radiant Saint Master was not very high, so was not very effective against a Saint ruler like Changbo. Changyang Ba also took out a large number of Radiant Spirit Pills from his space ring and fed them to Changbo immediately. Changbo became enveloped by dense Radiant Saint force. These were all Class 6 Radiant Spirit Pills. Jianshun had created a large box of them back then and had given them all to his family. No matter what, you've already injured Changyang Aoyama. Changyang Zhuxiao, you must give me an explanation today, or I swear that I won't let this matter go, Changyang Qingyan coldly said. Changyang Qingyan coldly replied. He would not back down in this matter. The protector Changyang clan had already lost a great deal of face, so they could not allow this to continue. Otherwise, they would no longer be able to raise their heads before the various organizations in the future. Changyang Qingyan, I don't fear you. The Holy Emperor may outnumber us, but if we fight, we'll end up in a life and death struggle. It's best if you leave and don't come here again in the future, Changyang Zhuxiao calmly said. Changyang Zhuxiao nonchalantly said. However, his nonchalant tone was extremely irritating to Changyang Qingyun's ears. Not only was it a threat, but it was also a form of disdain. Changyang Qingyun's hair fluttered in anger. He was like an enraged lion as he laughed aloud. Life and death struggle? Changyang Zhuxiao, you overestimate your Zhu branch far too much. Today, I'll show you just how easily we'll defeat the people of your Zhu branch. After laughing aloud, Changyang Qingyan immediately created a space gate and left. Several Emperor armaments were stabbed into the ground in Mercenary City. Although they were all in different shapes, every single one of them radiated with a pressuring presence, enough to make the Holy Emperor experts shiver inside. These Emperor armaments were all treasures of the Protector clans. They were not afraid of being taken away by others since no one else could control the Emperor armaments other than their own clans. Chanyang Qingyun returned to Mercenary City and used his divine might. He used a secret technique to pull out the Emperor armament that belonged to Chanyang Prefecture before creating a space gate and leaving. This surprised all the Holy Emperor experts present and caused them to rush over. What's Chanyang Qingyun doing? Has something big happened since he's in such a hurry? The Grand Elder of Mercenary City murmured in doubt. Many people thought the same thing. At the same time, Chanyang Zhu Yunkong sat in the center of a mountain in a barren mountain range. The energy around him pulsed. It was pure and powerful, causing the surrounding space to gently tremble. Chanyang Zhu Yunkong's figure constantly distorted, flickering in and out of existence in the center of the mountain range. This was definitely not an illusion created by the surrounding space. Instead, his body had truly fused with space, becoming one with it. Chapter 1322. Chanyang Zhu Yunkong's talent was extremely great. Back on Three Saint Island, the great elders of Chanyang Prefecture had worked together to seal his talent, preventing him from reaching sainthood for the rest of his life. Even with that being the case, Chanyang Zhu Yunkong had reached sainthood many times when he could not control it. The seal in his head would have come into conflict with him, causing him to suffer great torment. If it were not for the heavenly enchantress' unparalleled attainments in the way of the zither, which allowed her to control Chanyang Zhu Yunkong and make him fall into a slumber, Chanyang Zhu Yunkong probably would have died long ago. Afterwards, the seal in Chanyang Zhu Yunkong's head was unsealed because of Jinshin. With his talent, his cultivation immediately skyrocketed. Coupled with Xiao Ling's assistance, he personally demonstrated the mysteries of the world to Chanyang Zhu Yunkong in the clearest manner possible. In the end, Chanyang Zhu Yunkong's strength skyrocketed, growing at an unbelievable rate. In just a few short years, he had reached the peak of Saint Ruler. Chanyang Zhu Yunkong sat in the cave like an old monk in meditation. He was emotionless, and his face was calm. The distorted space around him became more and more unstable, rippling like water. Powerful energy pulsed from time to time from within Chanyang Zhu Yunkong's body, causing web-like cracks to appear on the ground. At that moment, not only did Chanyang Zhu Yunkong's comprehension of the mysteries of the world rapidly deepen, undergoing the final leap, but even the energy within him rapidly increased, becoming stronger and purer. Suddenly, the distorted space around Chanyang Zhu Yunkong calmed down. Even the energy within him stabilized. At that moment, everything was calm and the world was clear. The surroundings silently fell silent, as if everything in the world had fallen silent at that moment. It also seemed like time had stopped and the energy of the world had stopped flowing. This strange sight only lasted for a short while. Suddenly, a tremendous presence radiated from Chanyang Zhu Yunkong. It swept through the surroundings like a storm, permeating the entire mountain range. At the same time, an extremely tremendous amount of energy erupted from Chanyang Zhu Yunkong. Like a flood, it surged in all directions like a tidal wave. Boom! The mountain where Chanyang Zhu Yunkong was cultivating suddenly exploded, turning into rubble that shot out in all directions. He remained at his original height, seated in the air. The tremendous energy erupted from his body uncontrollably, wreaking havoc in the surroundings. In an instant, the originally calm sky suddenly surged with wind and clouds. Boundless energy transformed into a torrent that soared into the sky, shattering the clouds in the sky. Not long after, an auspicious cloud silently appeared high up in the sky. It flickered with multicolored light and emitted a gorgeous glow that enveloped the entire sky. The rainbow clouds silently expanded in all directions, covering a radius of several 100,000 kilometers. All the saint rulers became envious and yearning. This was the sign of someone breaking through to Holy Emperor from the ninth heavenly layer of Saint Ruler. Not only would becoming a Holy Emperor greatly increase in strength and allow one to stand at the apex of the Tian Yuan continent, it would also increase one's lifespan. Saint Rulers only had a lifespan of 3,000 years. Even if they consumed heavenly resources, they would only be able to live for another 200 years. However, becoming a Holy Emperor would directly increase one's lifespan from 3,000 years to 6,000 years. Huang Tianba and Yang Ling both emerged from seclusion in two other places in the mountain range. They raised their heads and looked at the sky. Chanyang Zhu Yunkong's talent really is terrifying. A few years ago, he was nowhere near as strong as me. Yet he's become a Holy Emperor before me now, Huang Tianba murmured. He sighed emotionally as a faint smile appeared on his face. He felt proud that Chanyang Zhu Yunkong had become a Holy Emperor. I need to work hard as well. Although my talent is not as great as Chanyang Zhu Yunkong's, I can't fall too far behind him, or it would be far too embarrassing, Huang Tianba continued. He was also at the ninth heavenly layer of Saint Ruler right now. He was only a step away from breaking through. On the other side, Yang Ling stared at the rainbow clouds in the sky with mixed feelings. He could still clearly remember that when he cultivated under Mercenary City with Chanyang Zhu Yunkong was only a first heavenly layer Saint Ruler. Yet now, Chanyang Zhu Yunkong had already become a Holy Emperor after such a short period of time. On the other hand, Chanyang Zhu Yunkong's strength had not increased at all. He remained at the sixth cycle of Heaven Saint Master. My talent is just too lacking. The young master has given me such a great fortune, yet I still haven't become a Saint Ruler. I've really let the young master down. I, Yang Ling, am not fated to become a Holy Emperor. Yang Ling gently sighed. He was rather dejected. As a fighter who did not wish to become stronger and stronger, the place where Chanyang Zhu Yunkong had become a Holy Emperor was only several tens of thousand kilometers away from Mercenary City, so the rainbow clouds naturally enveloped the city as well. However, there were already over 2,000 Holy Emperors gathered there, including several Holy Emperors. A person who had just become a Holy Emperor obviously would not attract too much attention. Many people in Chanyang Prefecture let out a sigh of relief with Chanyang Qingyun's sudden departure. Those who did not know the situation even thought that Chanyang Qingyun had retreated. They all secretly praised Chanyang Zhu Zhao's bravery, making an enemy retreat as soon as he arrived. Only Chanyang Zhu Xiao and Chanyang Zhu Yunxiao's faces became very ugly. They had already thought of a few things from what Chanyang Qingyun had said before he left. Before they could think too much about it, the space gate opened again, and Chanyang Qingyun returned very quickly. He descended with an Emperor armament that was around 20 to 30 meters long. As soon as the Emperor armament appeared, it immediately radiated with a supreme might. It surged through the surroundings, causing everyone to shiver in fear. The Emperor armament soared through the air. Before it had even displayed its might, it had already caused the surrounding space to ripple, as if it could shatter at any time. Chanyang Qingyun stood on the hilt of the Emperor armament and hugged it tightly with his arms. His hair danced in the wind as his clothes ruffled. A vast and boundless energy pulsed from him. He was using all his strength to stabilize the Emperor armament. Chanyang Qing Juri, Chanyang Qing Yunfeng, Chanyang Yuan Wuji, and Chanyang Yuan Zhenghua all charged toward the Emperor armament at the same time. They worked together with Chanyang Qingyun to control it. The ancestral armaments of the 10 protector clans were just too powerful. Even the Holy Emperor at great perfection would struggle to control them all by himself. It required several people to work together. Chanyang Zhu Xiao, I'd like to see just how you'll stop the Emperor armament now. Your Zhu branch doesn't have the ability to fight to the death. Chanyang Qingyun laughed at the sky. Victory was already within his grasp with the ancestral armament in hand. Chanyang Zhu Xiao, Chanyang Yuan Wuji, and Chanyang Yuan Wuji all revealed extremely ugly expressions. Even the saint rulers of the Zhu branch below were the same. Chapter 1323. Since ancient times, our Zhu, Yuan, and Qing branches have been one family. We've lived through countless eras together, but now your Zhu branch has broken away from Chanyang Prefecture in an attempt to establish your own clan. At the same time, the descendant of the branch, Chanyang Zhu Xiangtian, has colluded with outsiders to deal with the clan, trapping our protector clan in Chanyang Prefecture in a miniature world. This is an act of treason. If you were given some more time and allowed to grow a little stronger, you'd probably do even more outrageous things. You might even try to steal our position as a protector clan, Chanyang Qingyun said coldly. Chanyang Qingyun coldly replied. Not only had he come to the Chanyang clan this time to resolve the conflict between the Qing, Yuan, and Zhu branches, but he had also come to vent the resentment he had accumulated. Back when the 5 great elders of the Qing and Yuan branches had been trapped in the miniature world with their clansmen, all of them had accumulated extremely great resentment and anger. During the days when they were trapped, the 5 great elders had basically been thinking about how they would take revenge on the Zhu branch at all times. However, when the new Grand Elder of Mercenary City led over 20 experts from various places to help them break through the seal, he had been hastily invited to Mercenary City due to the matters of the world of Forsaken Saints. As a result, the time to take revenge on the Zhu branch was obviously delayed. Now that the Saint rulers of the Qing and Yuan branches had come into conflict with the Saint rulers of the Zhu branch, Chanyang Qingyun and the other great elders obviously found an opportunity for revenge. They even had a reason to do so this time. Chanyang Qingyun, so much for being a great elder of a protector clan. You're actually so shameless. You clearly want to take Shantian's Saint's fruit and become the Holy Emperor, yet you just have to make up a bunch of excuses to stir up trouble. The reason why Chanyang Prefecture has ended up like this is all because of your greed, Chanyang Zhu Yunxiao growled. His voice was filled with anger. Chanyang Qing Yin did not become embarrassed at all. Instead, he righteously said, "Have you all forgotten the rules of the Protector clan? The rules clearly state that all the disciples of the clan must place the interests of the clan above all else. As a member of the clan, Chanyang Zhu Xiangtian obviously has to follow the rules. The saint's fruit he obtained is extremely important to the clan, so he obviously has to hand it over." Chanyang Zhu Xiao and Chanyang Zhu Yunxiao were extremely furious. They had never thought that Chanyang Qingyun would become like this. He was like a completely different person compared to before. Chanyang Qingyun was not like this in the past. It was just that the temptation of becoming the Holy Emperor was just far too great. When Jinshan brought the saint's fruit back to the clan, Chanyang Qingyun should have had the greatest right to enjoy it as the strongest person in Chanyang Prefecture. However, to everyone's surprise, Jinshan refused to hand it over no matter what. In the end, Chanyang Qingyun missed out on becoming the Holy Emperor and was even sealed up for a period of time. This loss and gain greatly affected him, so his personality obviously changed drastically. After all, the saint's fruit was the only hope of becoming a holy emperor in this age, where it was extremely difficult to become a holy emperor. There was not a single holy emperor who could resist such a great temptation. Even Chanyang Zhu Yunxiao and Chanyang Zhu Xiao had once been tempted by it, but they did not lose their minds like Chanyang Qingyun. The 3 magical beasts helped Xiangtian obtain the saint's fruit, and the 3 of them even stopped the Holy Emperor's scheme in the end. If it were not for the 3 magical beasts, the saint's fruit would have been taken away by the Holy Emperor of the Beast God Continent, even if it ended up in your hands. As a result, the saint's fruit doesn't completely belong to Xiangtian, so the clan obviously doesn't have the right to forcefully take it away. Chanyang Zhu Xiao emotionlessly replied, Chanyang Zhu Xiao, there's no point in saying anything more. If you hadn't stopped me back then, I would have become the Holy Emperor already. Today, I will make you pay for what you did back then, Chanyang Qingyun roared. Chanyang Qingyun bellowed at the sky. Madness filled his eyes as he controlled the Emperor armament with the other 4 great elders. Immediately, a terrifying pulse of energy that could shake the surroundings radiated from the Emperor armament. It tore through space in a single moment, causing the space around the Emperor armament to become riddled with cracks before collapsing. The Emperor armament was just too powerful. At the same time, the space outside was not as tough as the miniature world of the Protector clan, nor was it stabilized by the 18 divine halls. As a result, the space around the Emperor armament shattered as soon as it displayed its might. From today onwards, there will no longer be a Chanyang prefecture. Chanyang Qing Yun roared. Chanyang Qing Yun laughed aloud. He controlled the Emperor armament and swung it at the estate below in an attempt to destroy it. The Chanyang prefecture was only an extremely ordinary estate. Although it was protected by a barrier cast down by Chanyang Zhu Xiao, the barrier was like a decoration before the Emperor armament. It was unable to resist at all. Everyone in the estate paled. Even Chanyang Ba, Bai Yun Tian, and the saint rulers of the Zhu branch became nervous. The terrifying presence of the Emperor armament had already locked onto everyone below, crushing them like a mountain. It was impossible for them to escape. A few of the weaker guards and servants had already fainted on the ground. Blood oozed from the corner of their mouths. Their organs had been damaged by the pressure of the Emperor armament. Chanyang Ba, Bai Yun Tian, and a few other important figures were not too affected since they were protected by the saint rulers of the Zhu branch. In the sky, the expressions of Chanyang Zhu Xiao, Chanyang Zhu Yun Xiao, and Chanyang Zhu Yiyun drastically changed. If the Emperor armament swung down, not only would the entire Chanyang prefecture cease to exist, even half of the city, with a population of several million, would be destroyed. Saint rulers were restricted by celestial decay. They could not commit any heinous crimes. If they killed over 1 million people in one go, celestial decay would immediately descend. No matter how powerful they would be reduced to a pile of bones. Chanyang Zhu Xiao, Bai Yun Tian, and Bai Yun Tian immediately began to use a secret technique to interfere with the Emperor armament. The Emperor armament required a corresponding secret technique to control, and it could only be taught to Holy Emperor. The three of them obviously knew this. The Emperor armament was greatly disturbed. Its terrifying energy began to pulse violently as the light from the sword pulsed erratically, sometimes strong and sometimes weak. Even the swinging motion came to a halt. Chanyang Zhu Xiao, don't even think about trying to take control of the Emperor armament. Chanyang Qing Yun furiously bellowed as he began to use his full strength. Even the 4 other Holy Emperor from the Qing and Yuan branches did the same. The Emperor armament violently trembled in the air as surges of energy fluctuated in an extremely unstable manner. The 3 Holy Emperors from the Zhu branch clashed with the 5 Holy Emperors from the Qing and Yuan branches. They used secret techniques to fight for control of the Emperor armament. Spurt, Chanyang Zhu Xiao, Bai Yun Tian, and Bai Yun Tian all vomited blood as their faces paled in a single moment. Soon afterward, the 5 Holy Emperors from the Qing and Yuan branches all vomited blood as well. Their faces were sheet white, without a single trace of blood. Chapter 1324. At this moment, the Emperor armament suddenly produced a clear thrum. The sound was extremely long, reverberating through the surroundings. However, when the great elders of Chanyang Prefecture heard the sound, they all narrowed their eyes. This was because the Emperor armament had never produced a sound like that before. It was extremely unusual. However, before they could think of anything else, a powerful energy suddenly erupted from the Emperor armament like a tsunami. It shattered the space there, causing the surrounding several dozen meters to be plunged into eternal darkness. Chanyang Zhu Xiao, Chanyang Ziyun Xiao, Chanyang Ziyun, and the 5 Holy Emperor from the Yuan and Qing branches all vomited blood at the same time. The power that had suddenly erupted from the Emperor armament had heavily injured them. They were all blown away as they became haggard. Their eyes were filled with shock as they stared at the Emperor armament in disbelief. They had suffered a backlash from the Emperor armament once again. This time, the backlash was much more severe than before. After stabilizing, both sides used their secret techniques as soon as possible. They wanted to regain control of the Emperor armament. This was the key to their victory. But soon after, all of their faces changed because none of them were able to regain control of the Emperor armament through the secret technique. The Emperor armament had completely broken free from their control. The 8 holy emperor from the 3 branches all revealed ugly expressions. The fact that the Emperor armament had broken free from their control was an extremely terrifying matter to them. The 30-meter-long Emperor armament hung in the air as it constantly trembled. It erupted with terrifying pulses of energy as the long thrum of the sword constantly reverberated in the surroundings. It was clear and ear-piercing, as if the Emperor armament was crying out. Suddenly, the Emperor armament broke through space and shot off as a streak of light. It moved as fast as lightning, disappearing into the horizon in the blink of an eye. Wherever it passed, space would shatter as it left behind a terrifying pressure that shook the ground. Oh no, the Emperor armament has flown away. That's the ancestral weapon of our Chanyang prefecture, so we can't lose it. Chase after it. Chanyang Qingyin was shocked. He no longer cared about his wounds and immediately pursued as quickly as he could. The Saint Kings from the Qing and Yuan branches did not hesitate at all. They all chased after Chanyang Qingyin. They fused with the surrounding space and used spatial force to travel with lightning-like speed. The Emperor armament passed through space. It affected the stability of the space, preventing them from creating space gates. They did not know where the Emperor armament would fly to, so they could not use space gates. They could only fly there with their own speed. Yiyun, you stay here. Yin Xiao will follow them and take a look. Chanyang Zhu Xiao turned around and said to Chanyang Zhu Yin Xiao and his wife before chasing off with Chanyang Zhu Yin Xiao. The Emperor armament passed through countless mountains and rivers, flying for several 100,000 kilometers at an unbelievable speed. In the end, it entered a barren mountain range. Chanyang Qingyin and the others who followed behind it had been left behind long ago. The rainbow clouds in the sky still did not disperse in the barren mountain range. Chanyang Zhu Yunkong sat in the air in the depths as he stabilized his cultivation. Several kilometers away, Huang Tianba stood on the peak of a mountain as he watched over him. At this moment, a terrifying pulse of energy appeared in the distance, causing the space there to constantly tremble. It was even possible to clearly see the space in the distance shatter, reduced to darkness. Huang Tianba's face changed. He stared in that direction in interest as he became extremely stern. The pulse of energy was extremely terrifying and powerful, enough to make him shiver inside. A streak of light shot over from outside the mountain range with lightning-like speed, directly targeting Chanyang Zhu Yunkong. The streak of light moved just too quickly. It was still on the horizon a moment ago, yet it had arrived before Chanyang Zhu Yunkong in the next instant. Huang Tianba was unable to react in time. It was a divine sword that was 20 to 30 meters long. It was simple and unadorned, but it exuded a terrifying aura. Vast and terrifying energy ripples emanated from the divine sword, causing the surrounding space to ripple. Huang Tianba let out a sigh of relief. He could already tell that the sword that had appeared out of nowhere did not harm Chanyang Zhu Yunkong. Instead, it hovered above Chanyang Zhu Yunkong's head, producing a long thrum. Huang Tianba was afraid that the sword would affect Chanyang Zhu Yunkong, so he immediately flew over. However, just when he was a kilometer away from Chanyang Zhu Yunkong, he was stopped by mysterious power from the sword. He was unable to break through no matter what he did with his strength as a 9th heavenly layer saint ruler. Suddenly, a terrifying glow erupted from his sword. It shot into the sky, illuminating it and causing the surroundings to dim. The glow enveloped Chanyang Zhu Yunkong, but did not harm him at all. Afterward, a strange pulse radiated from the sword, entering Chanyang Zhu Yunkong's forehead. It seemed to awaken a memory that had been sealed away for a very long time. Huang Tianba stood in the distance as he watched this in surprise. He had no idea what had happened, but he knew that he was powerless to interfere, regardless of whether it was good or bad for Chanyang Zhu Yunkong. Several hours later, Chanyang Qingyin and Chanyang Zhu Xiao hurried over with lightning speed. They saw the strange sight with a single glance and became stunned. Chanyang Qingyin bellowed out and flew toward the Emperor armament first. At the same time, he used a secret technique in an attempt to regain control of the Emperor armament. In the end, he was stopped a kilometer away by a mysterious and powerful force, just like Huang Tianba. He was unable to break through no matter what he did, and even the secret technique he used to control the Emperor armament failed. Why is it like this? What happened? Why is the Emperor armament like this? Chanyang Qing Yun asked anxiously. The Emperor armament had existed in the Protector clan for countless years, but had never experienced something like this before. This made Chanyang Qing Yun feel uneasy inside. Chanyang Zhu Xiao silently hovered nearby. He only stared at the Emperor armament and Chanyang Zhu Yunkong with shining eyes. None of them could explain the strange sight before them. Before long, the other holy emperor from the three branches arrived as well. They all furrowed their brows. No one knew what had happened to the Emperor armament. Why is it like this? The power of the Emperor armament has actually erupted by itself. Probably even holy emperors at great perfection can't withstand it. Chanyang Zhu Yunkong has only just become a holy emperor, so why is he not affected at all? This is just far too strange. Chanyang Zhu Yunkong is actually unscathed within the power of the Emperor armament. Is the power of the Emperor armament unable to harm Chanyang Zhu Yunkong at all? The holy emperors from the Yuan and Qing branches all voiced their doubts. Everyone felt that it was just far too strange. No one could explain what was happening. Let's wait here first. Once Chanyang Zhu Yunkong wakes up, we'll ask him what's going on, Chanyang Qing Juri said in a low voice. Chanyang Qing Juri said with a deep voice. Many people sensed that something was wrong from what had just happened. A day later, the Emperor armament completely glowed. It became simple and ordinary, but its presence remained. Not only had it not weakened, but it was even more powerful than before. Soon after, Chanyang Zhu Yunkong slowly opened his eyes. At that moment, it seemed like a bolt of lightning had shot out from his eyes. In particular, the presence that radiated from him shocked everyone. The presence was extremely similar to a ruler who stood high in the sky, ruling over everything. Huang Tianba and the other holy emperors from the Chanyang prefecture all stared at Chanyang Zhu Yunkong. At that moment, they all felt the same thing. Chanyang Zhu Yunkong seemed to be very different from before. Chanyang Zhu Yunkong waved his hand, and the Emperor armament above his head immediately shrank to the size of a sword. It obediently landed in his hand, as meek as a lamb. The eyes of Chanyang Qing Yun and the other holy emperors almost popped out of their sockets when they saw this. The Emperor armament had always been synonymous with power and violence in the Protector clans. It had never behaved so meekly before. However, this only made the people from the Yuan and Qing branches feel even more uneasy. Chanyang Zhu Yunkong, why don't you return the Emperor armament? Do you plan on stealing the Emperor armament of our Protector clan, Chanyang Prefecture? Chanyang Zhu Yunkong, why don't you tell us everything that you've just experienced and how you can control the Emperor armament so easily? Do you know some secret technique that we don't know about? Tell us everything. The holy emperors from the Yuan and Qing branches began to call out. Their faces were hostile. Chanyang Zhu Yunkong smiled. His smile was very resplendent. He raised the Emperor armament before his chest and said, "This was mine in the first place, so why should I return it to you? Even if I give it to you, you probably won't be able to accept it. How dare you? Chanyang Zhu Yunkong, are you trying to rebel? You even want to steal the Emperor armament of our Protector clan. You can't be allowed to live today," Chanyang Qing Yun roared. Chanyang Qing Yun bellowed. He immediately attacked Chanyang Zhu Yunkong because he had already discovered that the invisible barrier had vanished. As a holy emperor at great perfection, Chanyang Qing Yun was still powerful even though he was heavily injured. He first used his spatial abilities to freeze the space around Chanyang Zhu Yunkong before sending out a palm strike. Vast amounts of saint force pulsed from his hand, attempting to shatter space. Clearly, he had not held back at all. The expressions of Chanyang Zhu Xiao and Chanyang Zhu Yunxiao changed. Chanyang Zhu Yunkong had just become a holy emperor, so he was nowhere near Chanyang Qing Yun's opponent. Just when the two of them wanted to stop Chanyang Qing Yun, they were stopped by the other four holy emperors from the Yuan and Qing branches. Chanyang Zhu Shao roared at the sky and struck out with lightning speed. He knocked away the two people who had stopped him before immediately charging toward Chanyang Qingyan. However, Chanyang Qingyan was extremely close to Chanyang Zhu Yunkong at this moment. Chanyang Zhu Shao was unable to save him in time. Chanyang Qingyan, if you even touch a hair on Kong, I'll never forgive you. Chanyang Zhu Shao furiously roared out. Chanyang Qingyan sneered. He ignored Chanyang Zhu Zhao's threats. Energy surged from his hand as he struck toward Chanyang Zhu Yunkong viciously and decisively. Chanyang Zhu Yunkong remained as calm as a mountain. He did not become flustered at all. Mockery filled his eyes as a terrifying energy erupted from the Emperor armament. It broke through the frozen space in a single moment. He raised the Emperor armament high in the air and swung it at Chanyang Qingyun with the flat of the sword. The flat of the sword made contact with Chanyang Qingyun's hand. Chanyang Qingyun's entire arm immediately became limp. His flesh was filled with blood while his bones were reduced to dust, falling powerlessly. However, the Emperor armament did not slow down at all. The flat of the sword continued toward Chanyang Qingyun's chest. Spurt! Chanyang Qingyun spat out a mouthful of blood, as well as a large number of pieces of his organs. He was blown away like an arrow, unable to resist at all. This scene stunned everyone. Chanyang Zhu Shao came to a halt, and even Chanyang Zhu Yun Shao and the other two holy emperor saints stopped fighting. They stared at Chanyang Zhu Yunkong in shock. How is this possible? How is this possible? He can actually control the Emperor armament all by himself, and he's not affected by the backlash at all, Chanyang Yuan Zhenghua said in shock as his heart churned. Chanyang Zhu Yunkong, you actually dared to injure great Elder Qingyun. Are you trying to rebel? Chanyang Qingjuri said sternly. He feared Chanyang Zhu Yunkong very much. Chapter 1325. He had written Yang Lai's name as Lai Yang in the previous chapter. He had written the name wrong due to an oversight, so he had to correct it now. Chanyang Zhu Yunkong's name was Yang Lai, with the Yang in front and the Lai in the back. I don't care if you're called Chanyang Zhu Yunkong or Yang Lai. The Emperor armament in your hands is the ancestral artifact of our protector clan. I don't know what secret technique you've used to control the Emperor armament, but you have to return it to us no matter what, Chanyang Qingyun Feng said with a heavy voice. His face was extremely sunken. Originally, they did not take Chanyang Zhu Yunkong seriously when he became the Holy Emperor, because he was only at the first heavenly layer after all. However, now that Chanyang Zhu Yunkong controlled the ancestral artifact, his strength could not be described with common sense. Even Chanyang Qingyun, the Holy Emperor at great perfection, was not Chanyang Zhu Yunkong's opponent. He had been injured without being able to fight back at all, so the people of the Yuan and Qing branches were completely thrown into disarray. However, Chanyang Qingyun Feng also became doubtful when he mentioned Yang Lai's name. For some reason, he felt a sense of familiarity when he heard the name, as if he had heard it somewhere before, but he was unable to recall where. Chanyang Yuan Zhenghua's face changed slightly. His gaze toward Chanyang Zhu Yunkong became extremely sharp at that moment. He yelled out, Yang Lai is the founding ancestor of our Chanyang prefecture. How dare you, Chanyang Zhu Yunkong, use the ancestor's name and do something so disgraceful? Immediately, everyone present was shocked. They came to a realization. Not only did Chanyang Qingyun Feng find the name familiar, but even Chanyang Zhu Shao and the others felt the same. They just could not recall where they had heard it. Chanyang Qingjuri smiled from extreme anger. He said, Good. Your Zhu branch really wants to rebel. First, you break away from our protector clan, and now you use the ancestral artifact to blaspheme our founding ancestor, Yang Lai. People of the Zhu branch, do you really think that you can replace our position as a protector clan with just a jianshin and a secret method to control the ancestral artifact? Your ambitions will never come to fruition. We will definitely announce this to the world. Everyone will see your Zhu branch clearly. Your Zhu branch is fated to be cursed by everyone, Changyang Yuan Zhenghua loudly said. Changyang Yuan Zhenghua said loudly. He was extremely furious. The people of the Zhu branch were becoming bolder and bolder. Changyang Zhu Xiao and Changyang Zhu Yunxiao looked at each other and frowned. The development of the situation had completely exceeded their expectations. They had no idea what had happened to Changyang Zhu Yunkong, but they felt like he had suddenly become a completely different person. Changyang Zhu Yunkong smiled very warmly. He gently stroked the emperor armament in his hand and said, "The founding ancestor you speak of is me. Chanyang Prefecture was founded by me in the past, and I left my righteous Yang sword in the clan. At the same time, I cast down the 18 Encirclement Formation and the Origin Formation to protect the clan so that it would never decline. You really haven't let me down. After so many years, Chanyang Prefecture still hasn't declined. It's still as prosperous as before. It's just that your generation is far too greedy, to the point where you're actually killing each other over a single saint's fruit." Changyang Zuyinkong why? The holy emperors of the Yuan and Qing branches all pointed at Changyang Zuyinkong. They were speechless from anger. In terms of seniority, they were all qualified to be Changyang Zuyunkong's great-grandfather or even great-grandfather. Now that the junior in their eyes had actually called himself the founding ancestor of Chanyang Prefecture, wouldn't they, who had lived for several thousand years, become great-grandchildren who were separated by countless generations? Chanyang Zhu Xiao and Chanyang Zhu Yunxiao's faces became rather ugly as well, but they said nothing. They could clearly sense that the current Chanyang Zhu Yunkong was no longer the same Chanyang Zhu Yunkong of the past. Although his appearance had not changed, his presence and bearing were completely different. Although Chanyang Zhu Yunkong had just become a holy emperor, he just gave off an unfathomable feeling. Chanyang Qing Yin slowly flew back from afar with his heavily injured body. He said nothing, only staring at Chanyang Zhu Yunkong in shock. Disbelief flooded his face. He understood that the emperor armament that had injured him was not Chanyang Zhu Yunkong's true strength. He just found it hard to believe that Chanyang Zhu Yunkong could control the emperor armament so easily. Not only could he control the power of the emperor armament as he wished, but he did not suffer from any backlash at all. A space gate ripped open and a middle-aged man in tight robes walked out. He held a shiny, silver blade in his hand. Strands of powerful energy pulsed from the blade from time to time, shocking the holy emperor from the Chanyang Prefecture. The holy emperor from the Chanyang Prefecture all stared at the man who had suddenly appeared. All of their eyes narrowed because they were unable to see through the man at all. The blade in his hand made them tremble violently. No matter how they looked at it, the blade seemed like the emperor armament of the tyrant's blade school, except it was much smaller. The man was Guihai Dao. He did not even glance at the holy emperor from the Chanyang Prefecture. He stared at Chanyang Zhu Yunkong and happily smiled. "Yang Lai, you finally returned." Yang Lai stared at Guihai Dao for a while, and a gleam of light appeared in his eyes. He said, "Guihai Dao, I never thought that you would have already awakened and that you've recovered your strength to the level of a holy emperor." Chanyang Qingyun and the other holy emperor immediately became surprised when they heard what Yang Lai had said. They all stared at Guihai Dao with widened eyes. They were extremely shocked. The middle-aged man before them was actually a holy emperor? They did not know him at all, nor did they know when he had become a holy emperor. He did not have the 9-colored rainbow clouds with him. Guihai Dao chuckled aloud. He was extremely excited to see his old friend. He said, "Yang Lai, I've only been a year or two earlier than you. The energy condensed in your righteous Yang sword is no less than my wave-breaking blade. If you use this energy to cultivate, you'll be able to recover to the peak strength of a holy emperor very quickly. However, it'll be rather difficult for you to reach our level of cultivation in the past." "I can't reach the origin realm? Why is that?" Yang Lai asked. Guihai Dao's smile vanished, and he became rather stern. He gently sighed. "Yang Lai, your clan hasn't been peaceful recently. Deal with the matters here first. I'll wait for you in the Northern Sea." "Sir, may I ask who you are? Why have we never heard of an expert like you on the Tian Yuan continent?" Chanyang Qingjuri used this opportunity to ask Guihai Yidao. Guihai Yidao definitely would not have paid any attention to these juniors if it were any other day, but an old friend of his had returned today, so he was in an extremely good mood. He chuckled. The Tyrant's Blade School was founded by me. I think my disciples have already told you about it. With that, Guihai Yidao directly ripped open space and left. The Holy Emperor from the Chanyang Prefecture became stunned. When Mercenary City had borrowed the Emperor armament from the Tyrant's Blade School, they had heard from the great elders that their ancestor had returned. However, they had all treated it as an excuse to refuse the Emperor armament. They had never thought that their ancestor would actually return. The reappearance of a person who had been dead for 1,000,000 years seemed so unreal to them. They found it hard to believe. Chanyang Qing Yun, Chanyang Qing Yunfeng, Chanyang Qing Juri, Chanyang Yuan Zhenghua, and Chanyang Yuan Wuji, the 5 of you have killed your fellow disciples over a single saint's fruit. Do you know your crimes? Yang Lai looked at the 5 of them as his voice gradually turned cold. He possessed an inviolable dignity, making the 5 of them want to kneel down and worship him. Why? Are you really the founding ancestor of our Chanyang Prefecture, Yang Lai? Chanyang Qing Yun had vaguely obtained an answer to his question. The Emperor armament of their protector clan had originally been left behind by their ancestor, Yang Lai. Only the true master of the Emperor armament could control it so easily. Chapter 1326. Yang Lai's words sounded like a fantasy to the Holy Emperor from Chanyang Prefecture. Just what kind of method was it to seal one's memories in the ancestral artifact and allow the soul to reincarnate for thousands of lifetimes? At the very least, in their understanding, there had been countless holy emperors who had appeared on the Tian-Yuan continent in the past. There were many holy emperors who had injured their souls, but without any exception, none of them had done what Yang Lai had done. Their souls had been reincarnated for thousands of lifetimes and allowed them to regain their memories. Chanyang Qing Yun, do the 5 of you know your crimes? Yang Lai continued to interrogate them. He had recovered all his memories, including everything that had happened in his current life. Chanyang Zuyunkong, don't think we don't know that you're using a special secret technique to control the Emperor God. You're dreaming if you want to use this opportunity to pretend to be Ancestor Yang Lai. Do you think you can fool us with a random story? Do you really think we're 3 years old? Chanyang Qing Yun bellowed out. Without pausing for even a moment, he immediately turned around and fled. He hurried toward Mercenary City as quickly as he could. He was already 80% convinced of Yang Lai's identity, but he did not dare to admit it because he had made far too many mistakes. The most severe one was sealing Yang Lai's talent, preventing him from becoming a saint ruler for the rest of his life. In the end, he had almost died because of this. I'd like to see how you escape before me, Yang Lai coldly said. He no longer possessed the gentleness from before. His face had become rather sunken. If Chanyang Qing Yun had admitted his mistakes, he might have been lenient. However, not only did Chanyang Qing Yun refuse to admit his mistakes, he continued to make mistakes, which angered Yang Lai. Swish! The righteous Yang sword flew out of Yang Lai's hand as a resplendent streak of light. It caught up to Chanyang Qing Yun with lightning-like speed and hovered above his head. The sword suddenly expanded, returning to its original size of 30 meters. It then viciously pressed down with a tremendous presence, crushing Chanyang Qing Yun to the ground. Chanyang Qing Yun furiously roared at the sky. Powerful energy wildly surged out of his body in an attempt to push away the righteous Yang sword. However, the sword was only 30 meters long, but it was heavier than a mountain. Even with Chanyang Qing Yun's holy emperor strength at great perfection, he was unable to push it away. Boom! Chanyang Qing Yun viciously slammed his hands against the ground, producing a deep rumble. He wanted to blast the ground and leave through a tunnel. A vast and pure energy seeped into the ground from the righteous Yang sword, immediately making the ground as tough as steel. Chanyang Qing Yun's strike, which could easily split open a mountain, actually failed to shatter the ground. The eyes of Chanyang Qing Juri, Chanyang Qing Yunfeng, Chanyang Yuan Jinghua, and Chanyang Yuan Wuji immediately lit up when they saw the righteous Yang sword leave Yang Lai's hand. They looked at each other before attacking Yang Lai together. The four of them did not hold back at all. They used their full strength as soon as they struck out. They all drew their saint weapons and swung them at Yang Lai, who had lost the righteous Yang sword. The four saint weapons wove together and formed a huge net around Yang Lai, cutting off all his paths of retreat. They also worked together to lock down space, restricting Yang Lai's movements. Yang Lai was immobilized by the frozen space, but he did not become flustered at all. His lips curled into a playful smile as a gleam of light flashed through his eyes. For strands of powerful sword chi immediately erupted from the righteous Yang sword that was suppressing Changyang Qing Yun, shooting toward the four of them. The sword chi possessed extremely shocking power. Every single strand was over 2 meters long and shone with a dazzling light. Wherever they passed by, space would be ripped open, leaving behind 4 long, black cracks. Spurt, 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 spurt. The 4 strands of sword chi arrived before the 4 Saint Kings from the Yuan and Qing branches in a single moment. The 4 of them were unable to dodge the 4 strands of sword chi, so they were pierced through from the back to their chests. The 4 holy emperors who had attacked Yang Lai all vomited blood. They were heavily injured. The 4 strands of sword chi had come from the righteous Yang sword, so they were far more powerful than regular attacks. Even though they did not strike their vitals, they still inflicted unimaginable injuries, basically immobilizing them. You really are getting bolder and bolder. You actually dared to attack me after learning my identity. If it weren't for the fact that you're all direct descendants of the Chanyang prefecture, I would have taken your lives long ago, Yang Lai said with a sunken face. The holy emperors from the Yuan and Qing branches all became fearful. They could already tell that although this junior who called himself the founding ancestor of the Chanyang prefecture had just become a holy emperor, his strength was not something they could contend against. Even with the strength of a holy emperor at great perfection, it was not enough. This was because the power of the emperor armament was just far too great. They believed that this junior could use all the power within the emperor armament. With a wave of his hand, Yang Lai withdrew the righteous Yang sword. However, Chanyang Qingyan no longer dared to flee. The 5 of you better go back and properly reflect on your mistakes. Make up for your past mistakes. If it weren't for the fact that the Tian Yuan continent is facing a crisis right now and is in dire need of people, why would I spare you so easily? Yang Lai coldly said to the 5 of them before looking at Chanyang Zhu Xiao and Chanyang Ziyan Xiao. His gaze could not help but become rather mixed. After a moment of thought, he said, I will be leaving for a while. You handle the matters of the clan for me. Once I return, I will give you origin energy so that you can become holy emperors as much as possible. With that, Yang Lai ripped open a space gate and left. Chanyang Zhu Xiao and Chanyang Zhu Yun Xiao stood there silently. They did not say anything. At that moment, their hearts were filled with mixed feelings. They were unable to describe what they were feeling. The return of the founding ancestor of Chanyang Prefecture should have been something worth rejoicing over, but the 2 of them were unable to become happy no matter what. The 5 holy emperors left dejectedly. They dragged their heavily injured bodies back to Mercenary City. They wanted to use the Class 7 Radiant Saint Masters there to heal them. However, the 5 of them were not calm at all. The return of the founding ancestor of Chanyang Prefecture had greatly shocked them. Chanyang Zhu Xiao and Chanyang Zhu Yin Xiao returned to Chanyang Prefecture and told Chanyang Zhu Yin everything. When Chanyang Zhu Yin learned that her child was actually the reincarnation of their founding ancestor, Yang Lai, she immediately became dumbfounded. Her face became extremely mixed as well. It was filled with bitterness. I never thought that Chanyang Zhu Yinkong would actually be the reincarnation of the founding ancestor of Chanyang Prefecture. This is truly shocking. Huang Tianba stood on a mountain in the distance and witnessed everything that had just happened. He immediately sighed before continuing his seclusion to make his final breakthrough. Jianshen and Tai Ta successfully emerged from the Xianwang microcosm in the Sea Realm. They returned to the underwater world and appeared in the tidal vortex of energy. The tidal vortex of the world only lasted for half a year. Half a year had almost passed, so the energy of the tidal vortex had become even weaker. It was no longer as dense as before. Fantastic, you've finally come out. I had thought that something had happened to you in there. As soon as Jianshun and Tai Ta emerged, they heard Poseidon's joyful voice. They saw Poseidon's illusionary figure hovering before them. He was extremely excited. Your Majesty Poseidon, Jianshun has succeeded. I've successfully collected all the materials you need. Jianshun clasped his hands at Poseidon with a smile before taking out the two materials for Poseidon to see. Chapter 1327. Your Majesty Poseidon, may I ask how I can hand these items to you? Jianshun asked. Poseidon was only a soul right now, so he should not be able to take these items away. Poseidon calmed down very soon and said, Jianshun, go to Poseidon's hall first and find the hall master of Poseidon's hall, Yadrium. Yadrium has an abyssal crystal with her. Abyssal crystals can only be found in the depths of the Sea of Despair. This is the only piece that has been lost. You can find the divine hall I left behind in the past through this crystal. Poseidon's illusionary soul directly vanished after explaining everything to Jianshun. He had left. Jianshun looked around. He and Tai Ta were currently in the depths of the worldly ebb. If it were before, it would have been impossible for the two of them to stand there so easily, but their strength had skyrocketed in the Xianhuang microcosm. Coupled with the fact that the energy of the ebb had weakened, it obviously did not affect them anymore. Jianshun stared at the ebbing energy in the surroundings. If it were not for his fortuitous encounters in the Xianhuang microcosm, he definitely would have spent some time cultivating here. However, his chaotic body had already broken through to the 4th layer in the Xianhuang microcosm. If he wanted to break through to the 5th layer, the energy he needed would increase drastically once again. However, the energy of the ebb was no longer important to Jianshun. Newbies and the White Tiger were still cultivating in the artifact space. They had ingested the various heavenly resources Jianshun had collected in the Xianhuang microcosm, including the comprehension tea leaves. As a result, their strength had increased extremely rapidly during this period of time. Their cultivation had been smooth sailing. The White Tiger had officially reached Class 8, becoming an expert on par with the Holy Emperor. However, there were no auspicious clouds accompanying him as he had broken through in the artifact space. Newbies' strength had not increased as quickly as the Winged Tiger, but he had also reached the 5th heavenly layer of the Holy Emperor and was rapidly approaching the 6th heavenly layer. Once he reached the 6th heavenly layer, he would be able to fend off 8th heavenly layer Holy Emperor with his modified Saint Tier battle skill. Even if he encountered 9th heavenly layer experts, he would be able to last a few rounds with the Saint Tier battle skill. Jianshun and Tai Ta left the place and directly made their way to the Poseidon Hall to complete what Poseidon had entrusted them with. At the same time, Yadrium suddenly said to the people in the surroundings as she was enveloped in a dense layer of blue light above the ruins of Mercenary City on the Tianyuan continent, Everyone, I have matters to attend to and must return to the Sea Realm. Please leave behind the elders of the Poseidon Hall to watch over this place. If anything unexpected happens, I will hurry over as quickly as possible. With that, Yadrium hurriedly said a few words to the experts of the Poseidon Hall before leaving. She returned to the Sea Realm as quickly as she could. 2 days later, Jianshun and Tai Ta arrived at the Supreme Divine Hall in the territory of the Poseidon Hall. They met the Hall Master of the Poseidon Hall, Yadrium, in a secret room. Although Yadrium was not enveloped by a layer of blue light, and her figure could be clearly seen, her face was still a blur. It was as if she had been obscured by a layer of mist, making it impossible to see her clearly. Very good. Jianshun, you really haven't let down Her Majesty's expectations. You've successfully found what Her Majesty wanted. However, the Sea of Despair is not a safe place. Even emperors can die there. Before we go, I need to make some preparations. We'll set off in 3 days, Yadrium said to Jianshun. Yadrium had learned everything from Poseidon on the way back. All right then. Hall Master, I'll come back in 3 days. Jinshin replied before making his way to the territory of the Turtle Clan with Tai Ta. It had already been half a year since he had returned to the Turtle Clan, so he could use this opportunity to visit and understand the current situation of the clan. At the same time, he could resolve his grievances with the Tao family. Back then, the Tao family had relied on a divine hall to make Jinshin helpless, but now, both Jinshin and Tai Ta were no weaker than the Holy Emperor. The divine hall of the Tao family was basically useless to them. At this moment, not a single member of the Turtle Clan could be seen in the territory of the Turtle Clan. However, a huge divine hall stood in the center of the territory. There were a few cracks on it that had not been completely repaired, but it did not affect the majestic presence of the divine hall. This was the divine hall of the 8 wastelands that Jinshin had left behind in the Turtle Clan when he had left. The experts of the Turtle Clan had already begun to use it. All the members of the Turtle Clan were gathered in the divine hall. Not a single person emerged. A huge divine hall also stood silently several kilometers away from the divine hall of the 8 wastelands. It faced off against the divine hall of the 8 wastelands from afar. This was the divine hall that belonged to Tao Zhengtian. Tao Zhengtian and the Holy Emperor of the Alliance sat at the top of the divine hall. They all sneered as they stared at the divine hall of the 8 wastelands. They had already been there for several days, blocking the entrance of the Turtle Clan fearlessly. Ruler of the Turtle Clan, Jinshin, come out quickly. Today, my Tao family will settle this with your Turtle Clan. Tao Zhengtian sat at the top of the divine hall as he constantly called out to the Turtle Clan. Ruler of the Turtle Clan, are you afraid? Are you afraid to come out now that you've been blocked by our Tao family? All you know is to hide in the divine hall. Do you plan on hiding in there for the rest of your life? Ruler of the Turtle Clan, your Turtle Clan is a large clan after all. It's a peak force in the Sea Realm, yet you've actually become a coward now. If news of this gets out, it won't be good for your clan's reputation. Jinshin, come out and die. Quickly come out and accept your death. How long are you going to hide? Ha! I never thought that the ruler of the Turtle Clan that has caused so much commotion in the Sea Realm would actually be a coward. The 5 Holy Emperor of the Tao family constantly called out. They were fearless as if victory was already in their grasp. They did not fear the Turtle Clan at all. At the same time, they would launch powerful attacks at the Divine Hall from time to time, causing the Divine Hall to rumble. Although they were unable to damage the Divine Hall at all, they made the people of the Turtle Clan who hid in the Divine Hall feel extremely vexed. In the Octaterra Divine Hall, Qing Yishuan, Taido, Lanjing, Xinpian, and Mokas all paled in anger. They were tempted to charge out and fight the Saint Kings of the Tao family to the death. We have to hold back. We can't be rash. Although we have the same number of 16-star experts, Tao Zhengtian is just too powerful. He can deal with 2 or 3 of us by himself. And the ancestor of the Mashi clan is more powerful than any one of us. If we really do end up fighting them, we'll definitely lose. Moreover, they definitely have something to rely on since they're bold enough to show off in the territory of our Turtle Clan. As a result, we can't go out, Lan Jing said with a heavy voice. The Tao family only dares to make a ruckus when the ruler is not present. I like to see if Tao Zhengtian still dares to come, Taido said resentfully. He was quite furious. Chapter 1328. Qing Yishuan and the others who hid in the Divine Hall of the 8 Wastelands were all extremely furious. They had nowhere to vent their anger, but there was nothing they could do about the current situation. If they fought, the 5 Holy Emperors were not the opponents of the 5 Holy Emperors of the Tao family. If they acted too recklessly, it would be extremely easy for them to lose their lives. I wonder when the ruler will return. If he does, we'll definitely make the people of the Tao family pay, said an elder of the Turtle Clan. He felt admiration for Jinshin from the bottom of his heart. This was because he would never forget that the Turtle Clan had only been able to grow so rapidly under the ruler's lead. At the same time, the 5 16-star experts who watched over the Turtle Clan had all been brought back by the ruler. They had nothing to do with the Turtle Clan. Qing Yishuan raised an eyebrow and curled her lips in disdain. She sneered, Tao Jingtian has a divine hall. It's not like you don't know how tough divine halls are. Only the Holy Emperor can break through them. I admit that Jinshin's talent is extremely good, and he's extremely powerful now, but he still can't do anything to Tao Jingtian, who has a divine hall. He's not even Tao Jingtian's opponent when he's alone. Under these circumstances, he'll be completely useless even if he returns. We believe in the ruler. The ruler is wise. The ruler is the only hope of our turtle clan. As long as the ruler is present, all the problems we face will be easily resolved. A clansman nearby heard Qing Yishuan talk about Jinshin and immediately stood forward to roar out in righteous indignation. He defended the dignity of the ruler of the turtle clan very much. Yes, that's right. The ruler of our turtle clan is powerful and wise. Right now, our turtle clan is in such a state because the ruler is not present. If the ruler was present, I believe that all the problems we face would be resolved under the wise leadership of the ruler. Doesn't everything that has happened to us today tell us even more clearly that our turtle clan cannot do without a ruler? Our turtle clan can only become extremely powerful with a ruler present. If we lose our ruler, we'll be nothing, Jinshin said. More and more people joined in, doing their best to defend Jinshin and refute Qing Yishuan's words. These people all felt blind admiration for the ruler of the turtle clan. Even their minds and beliefs had been unknowingly influenced by Jinshin. Qing Yishuan felt her head ache when she saw the fanaticism in the eyes of the clansmen. She shook her head helplessly and murmured, "It really is hopeless. I really don't understand it. Jinshin, that kid, has only come to the turtle clan for so long, yet he has already won the hearts of so many people." Tao Jingtian and the Holy Emperor of the Alliance continued to cause a ruckus outside. They basically used every method they could think of to force the ruler of the turtle clan to come out, but they did not even see the ruler's figure after so many days. At this moment, Tao Jingtian and the others could not help but secretly mutter to themselves. They had already guessed that it was extremely likely that the ruler of the turtle clan was not present or that he was in seclusion. Let's continue blocking the way here. Even if the ruler of the turtle clan isn't here, someone has probably contacted him through a communication technique. He'll probably return before long. Tao Jingtian sat at the top of the divine hall leisurely. He stared at the divine hall of the 8 wastelands with narrowed eyes. He was filled with confidence. At this moment, an ear-piercing sound rang out. 2 figures hurried over with lightning-like speed. They moved extremely quickly. The 2 figures' use of space was not particularly profound in the eyes of the Holy Emperor, but they moved so quickly that it left Tao Jingtian and the others speechless. This was because they were no slower than the Holy Emperor. They were even faster than many 16th star experts. In the blink of an eye, the 2 figures stopped in the middle of the 2 divine palaces. At this time, their faces could finally be seen clearly. One of them was wearing a white robe and looked to be in his 20s. He was handsome and filled with a masculine aura. His eyes were as sharp as swords, and when one looked into his eyes, one would feel pain in one's eyes. The other person was an extremely burly man. His skin glowed with a faint golden light, making him seem like he had been forged from gold. The most eye-catching part of him was the imprint of a battle axe between his eyebrows. It's the ruler of the turtle clan. The ruler of the turtle clan has returned. One of the holy emperors from the Tao family's alliance immediately cried out when he saw who it was. The 2 of them were Jinshin and Taita, who had just returned from the Poseidon Hall. Tao Jingtian's eyes sharpened at that moment. He stared at them with shining eyes as he sneered, "Ruler of the turtle clan, you've finally returned. Old man has been waiting here for many days." Jinshin stared at Tao Jingtian and the others who blocked the entrance of the turtle clan with a sunken face. He then glanced around the turtle clan and immediately let out a sigh of relief. Although the turtle clan had been reduced to a horrible state, he did not see any corpses or bloodstains. Everyone had hidden themselves in the divine hall of the 8 wastelands. Jinshin's face was immediately filled with heavy killing intent. He had never thought that Tao Jingtian would block the entrance of the turtle clan before he had even gone to deal with Tao Jingtian. If it were not for the fact that he had left behind the divine hall of the 8 wastelands before he had left, the entire turtle clan probably would have been massacred by the Tao Jingtian. Tao Jingtian, I was just about to pay a visit to your Tao family and completely resolve the grievances between you and the turtle clan, but I never thought that you would be so smart and come to your death obediently, Jinshin growled. Tao Jingtian laughed aloud. Ruler of the turtle clan, you overestimate yourself. Old man is standing right here. I like to see how you kill old man. He was indeed confident. His strength had reached the peak of the 8th heavenly layer of the Holy Emperor and was infinitely close to the 9th heavenly layer. However, Tao Jingtian had gained a clear understanding of Jinshin's strength after the battle last time. Jinshin posed no threat to him at all. Jinshin sneered. Then I'll show you how I'll kill you here today. Suddenly, a tremendous presence radiated from Jinshin. It pressed toward Tao Jingtian in an overwhelming manner. The expressions of Tao Jingtian and the 4 other holy emperors drastically changed. The presence from Jinshin was just too powerful. Even Tao Jingtian, who had reached the peak of the 8th heavenly layer, shivered inside. At that moment, they even felt like they were facing an expert on the same level as the Holy Emperor. Tao Jingtian and the 4 other holy emperors were no longer as composed as before. They all stood up in shock as disbelief filled their faces. Their hearts churned. Ruler of the Turtle Clan, the old man has already overestimated you, but I never thought that he would still underestimate you in the end. I never thought that your strength would reach such a level in such a short amount of time. You're no weaker than the old man, but killing the old man with your current strength is still a pipe dream. If you don't believe me, let's go somewhere else. With that, Tao Jingtian did not stay any longer. He immediately flew off into the distance with the Divine Hall. He moved extremely quickly, disappearing into the horizon in the blink of an eye. The 4 holy emperors of the Tao family's alliance entered the Divine Hall as soon as possible. Tao Jingtian took them with him. Ruler of the Turtle Clan, follow me if you have the courage. Tao Jingtian's loud voice rang out from afar. Jinshin moved and used the illusory flash. He seemed to have fused with space as he chased after Tao Jingtian with great speed. He was no slower than Tao Jingtian. Jinshin's comprehension of the illusory flash had reached a whole new level in the Xianwang microcosm. Coupled with the fact that his strength had increased, his speed when he used the illusory flash skyrocketed as well. Chapter 1329. After Jinshin and Ta chased Tao Jingtian into the distance, the door to the Divine Hall of the 8 Wastelands opened. Led by Qing Yishuan and the other Holy Emperor, a large number of clansmen surged out. It's the ruler. The ruler has returned. Fantastic, this is just fantastic. Did you see that? As soon as the ruler returned, he made Tao Jingtian flee in fright. He doesn't even dare to fight the ruler because he's afraid of death. Long live the ruler. The ruler is invincible, the clansmen of the Turtle Clan excitedly exclaimed. Many of them felt admiration for the ruler, which had reached an unbelievable level. Qing Yishuan, Lan Jing, Xanpian, Mocha's, and Taido's pale faces finally eased up slightly. Now that the ruler of the Turtle Clan, Jinshin, and his powerful friend had returned, they finally possessed the power to fend off the Tao family. They no longer needed to hide in the Divine Hall and suffer. The 5 of them stared in the direction that Jinshin had fled in with interest as they frowned. That's strange. Tao Jingtian has been clamoring about fighting Jinshin today and personally killing Jinshin. Now that Jinshin has returned, why has he fled without even fighting? Even if he's worried that the 5 of them aren't our opponents, they still have a Divine Hall. As long as they hide in there, we can't do anything to them. There's no need for him to flee like that, Mocha's said in doubt. The others nodded as well. They all felt that Tao Jingtian's actions were extremely strange. I understand. Tao Jingtian's intentions were probably to draw Jinshin away. I think he must have set up some sort of ambush against Jinshin, Qing Yishuan said with a heavy voice. Her complexion was very ugly. She had already completely offended the Tao family by joining the Turtle Clan against them. If Jinshin died, She could no longer remain in the sea realm. Suddenly, Qing Yishuan turned around and said to the clansmen behind her, "Everyone enter the divine hall of the 8 wastelands. Tao Jingtian has probably set up an ambush against Jianshan. We need to take the divine hall to rescue him, just in case something happens to him." The expressions of the clansmen of the Turtle Clan drastically changed. They all entered the divine hall of the 8 wastelands as quickly as they could. Afterward, Qin Yishuan led the divine hall of the 8 wastelands in pursuit of Jianshan with Lan Jing, Exanpian, Mokas, Taido, and the other Holy Emperor clansmen. Tao Jingtian frantically fled with the divine hall. At this moment, his heart was like a turbulent ocean. He was unable to remain calm. He had been frightened by Jianshan's tremendous presence. Just from the presence alone, he could tell that Jianshan was no weaker than him. Jianshan might even be more powerful because even he shivered in fear before Jianshan's presence. Aside from Jianshan, a golden-skinned companion followed him. Tao Jingtian could sense that the companion was still very powerful, no weaker than him. God damn it, how long has it been? How has the ruler of the Turtle Clan's strength increased so much? Tao Jingtian grumbled inside. The rate at which the ruler of the Turtle Clan's strength increased had completely exceeded his expectations. Jianshan and Tai Ta pursued closely from behind. One of them turned into a blur as if he had fused with space, crossing a great distance in a flash. The other shone with a dazzling golden light as he shot through the sky like a comet. The two of them were slightly faster than Tao Jingtian, so the distance between them gradually closed. Very soon, they had traveled over 100,000 kilometers from the territory of the Turtle Clan. They flew over large cities and passed through the territories of several large clans, causing a great disturbance along the way. Tao Jingtian, this place is far enough. Let these barren mountains be your burial ground. Jianshan suddenly bellowed out when they arrived above a barren mountain. He pushed the illusory flash to the limit as his speed suddenly skyrocketed. He caught up to Tao Jingtian in just a few seconds and stabbed out with a sword condensed from chaotic force. How is he so fast? Tao Jingtian was shocked, but he reacted quickly. With a boom, a vast amount of energy erupted from his body, condensing into an armor of energy in a single moment. He stabbed out with his trident as hard as he could. Boom! Tao Jingtian's trident clashed with Jianshan's sword condensed from chaotic force. A terrifying ripple of energy immediately erupted, causing the mountains below to collapse. The entire mountain range was reduced to a mess. Tao Jingtian's face changed. With a grunt, he was blown far away like a broken kite. The trident in his hand dimmed, and the armor of energy had almost shattered. The sword condensed from chaotic force in Jianshan's hand was still as powerful as before. Its power had not decreased at all. His gaze was cold as he said, "Tao Jingtian, your strength is still at the same level as before. You haven't improved at all in the past half a year. You're dreaming if you want to kill me with just this amount of strength." "Why?" Tao Jingtian was both shocked and angered. He pointed at Jianshan and almost became speechless. Afterward, he roared out, "What happened in the past half a year? How did you become so powerful?" Tao Jingtian had already become fearful from the single clash. He discovered to his surprise that he was no longer the ruler of the Turtle Clan's opponent after half a year. He was extremely shocked and filled with disbelief. Tao Jingtian did not expect a reply from Jianshan. He turned around and flew into the divine hall of the 8 wastelands. He controlled the divine hall to flee as quickly as he could, hoping to reach the Serpent God Hall as soon as possible. Jianshan sneered as he followed behind at a steady pace with Tai Ta. Tao Jingtian had blocked the entrance of the Turtle Clan fearlessly despite knowing that he could not do anything to the Turtle Clan. He had purposefully angered the Turtle Clan in an attempt to draw him out. How could he not tell that Tao Jingtian was plotting something? However, Jianshan was filled with confidence after returning from the Xianwang microcosm. No matter what Tao Jingtian was relying on, he no longer feared him. So he has the support of the Serpent God Hall. Very soon, Jianshan understood Tao Jingtian's intentions from where he had fled. He immediately smiled mysteriously. Hall Master of Dragon God Temple, let me test you out this time. I'd like to see just how powerful the Holy Emperor is and just how powerful he is compared to the class 9 Xianhuang beasts of the Xianhuang microcosm, Jinshin thought. Now that his chaotic force had reached the 4th layer and he had comprehended sword origin, his strength had skyrocketed. Even if he had not forged the azulate swords, he still had some confidence in dealing with the Holy Emperor. Even if he could not defeat him, he could retreat safely. Jinshin was in no hurry to destroy Tao Zhengtian's divine hall. Instead, he hid his strength and tailed him, heading toward the territory of the Serpent God Hall. The chase lasted for 2 whole days before Jinshin finally chased Tao Zhengtian into the territory of the Serpent God Hall. The moment Jinshin set foot in there, Tao Zhengtian almost cried from joy. He was tempted to roar at the sky. Ha ha ha, Jinshin, your end has come. No matter how great your talent is, no matter how unprecedented you are, you will still die today. Tao Zhengtian laughed aloud. His greatest enemy was finally about to die right before him. He felt indescribable joy. Chapter 1330. Jinshin sneered. He glanced back at the boundary that led to the territory of the Poseidon Divine Hall and calmly said, Tao Zhengtian, aren't you celebrating a little too early? It's really hard to say what the outcome will be today. Tao Zhengtian stopped and did not continue to flee. However, he hid in the Divine Hall and did not dare to emerge. He believed that Jinshin could not do anything to him like this. So he chuckled aloud. Jinshin, you're far too arrogant. Do you really think that you can do whatever you want in the Sea Realm just because your strength is increased by leaps and bounds? I admit that I, Tao Zhengtian, am no longer your opponent, but who knows how many people are more powerful than me in the vast Sea Realm. Naturally, there will be plenty of experts who can kill you. As for now, you're already at death's door. No one can save you. As if to prove Tao Zhengtian's words, the energy in the surroundings suddenly became violent as soon as Tao Zhengtian finished speaking. A supreme power permeated the surroundings, growing stronger and stronger and denser, causing the sky to tremble. It seemed like a dragon was roaring furiously. However, Jinshin ignored all of this as if he did not sense the changes at all. Only Taita, who stood beside him, stared at the sky in interest. His eyes were filled with powerful battle intent as the blood of the war god within him surged, causing his body to shine with a dazzling golden light. You don't have a final say on what will happen to me today. However, one outcome has already been decided, and that's that you, Tao Zhengtian, will definitely die today, Jinshin sneered. Tao Zhengtian began to laugh from his anger. He loudly said, Jinshin, your arrogance and ignorance have far exceeded my expectations. I'm right here. If you have the ability, come and take my name. If you can't take my life today, I'll scatter the corpses of the Turtle Clan tomorrow and make rivers of blood flow. Heavy killing intent appeared in Jinshin's eyes. He coldly said, Tao Zhengtian, you will never have a chance to do that. Even if the Hall Master of Dragon God Temple protects you today, I, Jinshin, will still kill you. No one will be able to save you. With that, the supreme power in the surroundings immediately became even more violent. Boundless energy of the world gathered from all directions, condensing into a figure in the blink of an eye. It was a burly middle-aged man with a beefy back. His face was very blurry, and his facial features were unclear. He stood in the surroundings and radiated with an extremely powerful presence. He was like a ruler that looked down on the world. Esteemed Hall Master of Dragon God Temple, quickly kill Jinshin and eliminate all future problems. Tao Zhengtian, who was hiding in the shrine, also discovered the figure completely condensed from energy in the sky. He immediately cried out in excitement. This was a clone that the Hall Master of Dragon God Temple had condensed using his will to control the energy in the surroundings. The Hall Master of Dragon God Temple would naturally disdain to personally take action against Jinshin, who was not even at the level of Holy Emperor Paragon. In his opinion, a clone was enough to deal with any opponent below the level of Holy Emperor, because he was a Holy Emperor. Furthermore, he had been in this realm for many years and had walked a very long path in this realm. King of the Turtle Clan, I like to see how you'll kill someone in front of me. The Hall Master of Dragon God Temple's clone spoke. His voice boomed through the surroundings like thunder. It was deafening, like the roar of a serpent dragon. Afterward, he extended a finger at Jinshin. His finger elongated and rapidly expanded, turning into a huge strand of energy that pressed down on Jinshin. Along the way, the energy in the surroundings surged into the finger, causing it to rapidly grow. At the same time, a supreme power that belonged to the Holy Emperor was hidden within. Jinshin showed no fear. He called out, "Hall Master of Dragon God Temple, a mere clone of yours does not have the ability to stop me, Jinshin. Why don't you personally take action?" Suddenly, Jinshin's presence changed drastically. Like an unsheathed sword, he shone brightly. He had already reached sword origin, so he seemed to have become a sharp sword all of a sudden. Afterward, he charged toward the Hall Master's finger of energy with an unstoppable presence. Around him, there was a large amount of energy surrounding him. Around him, a ball of extremely bright white light appeared. It revolved around his body and radiated with surging sword chi. The sword chi surprised the Hall Master of Dragon God Temple's clone. The sword chi was just too powerful and extraordinary. He had lived for several thousand years and read many secret texts. He knew a lot of things, but he had never seen such sharp sword chi. After comprehending the way of the sword chi Jinshin used was no longer just condensed from energy. Instead, it was an application of laws. The energy finger condensed by the Hall Master of Dragon God Temple's clone was unable to harm Jinshin at all. With his body as a sword, Jinshin smashed through the energy finger like a hot knife through butter. He had already approached the Hall Master of Dragon God Temple's clone. Sword chi condensed in his hand as he stabbed toward the clone's head with lightning speed. There was a sliver of the Hall Master of Dragon God Temple's soul here. As long as this soul was destroyed, the clone condensed from energy would disappear as well. The Hall Master of Dragon God Temple could no longer maintain his composure. His expression changed drastically as a sliver of disbelief appeared in his eyes. He had never thought that Jinshin had become so powerful. Although he was shocked, the Hall Master of Dragon God Temple's reaction was extremely fast. In an instant, his clone had retreated several hundred meters as if it had teleported, dodging Jinshin's fatal strike. Although it was only a clone, if the soul within the clone was destroyed, it would still cause unimaginable damage to the clone. Even to the Holy Emperor, the damage to the soul was still the most fatal and difficult to heal. Jinshin seemed to have expected that the Hall Master of Dragon God Temple's clone would dodge. He immediately performed the illusory flash, leaving behind an afterimage. His real body also caught up to the Hall Master of Dragon God Temple, as if he had teleported. With a flash of white light, the powerful sword chi in his hand had already pierced through the clone's head. This time, the Hall Master of Dragon God Temple's clone did not manage to dodge in time. Its head was pierced through, and more than half of the soul was destroyed. The remaining soul immediately fled into the distance. Jinshin extended a finger and shot out a finger-sized strand of sword chi towards the soul. He obliterated the small portion of the soul that had fled. At the same time, a miserable shriek suddenly rang out from the supreme divine hall in the center of the Serpent God Hall's territory. Soon after, a tremendous presence radiated from the divine hall, like a primordial beast that had awakened from its slumber. It alarmed the entire divine hall. A figure quickly charged out from the divine hall, charging into the distance with a supreme presence. He vanished in a single moment, moving as fast as he could. It's the esteemed Hall Master. The Hall Master's true body hasn't appeared for several hundred years already. He's always been in seclusion. That shriek seemed to have come from the Hall Master. What happened to the great Hall Master? Did something happen to his cultivation? What exactly happened to the Palace Master? Why did he leave in such a rage? He even had such a strong killing intent. Could it be that someone had angered the Palace Master? In the divine hall of the Serpent God Hall, many elders and emissaries discussed among themselves. They were filled with confusion and confusion. Even the esteemed hall elders were the same. This is impossible. Tao Jingtian and the four holy emperor clans of the Alliance had personally witnessed this from within the Divine Hall. All of them became stunned and filled with disbelief. A hall master of Dragon God Temple's clone had actually been destroyed by the ruler of the Turtle Clan so easily. This was an extremely terrifying matter to them. Chapter 1331. That's impossible. The esteemed hall master of the Serpent God Hall is one of the three most powerful experts in the Sea Realm. He only needs to use a single clone to crush people like hall elders. So how can he be slain by the ruler of the Turtle Clan? We personally witnessed the strength of the ruler of the Turtle Clan a few months ago. He's only on par with me at most. How can he become so powerful in just a few short months? Is the ruler of the Turtle Clan an emperor as well? He was only hiding his strength when he fought us a few months ago. Could it be that the energy clone wasn't the hall master of the Serpent God Hall at all, but one of the hall elders? The Holy Emperor allied with the Tao family all cried out within the Divine Hall. All of their faces became extremely ugly. Without any hesitation, Jianshin used the illusory flash to arrive before Tao Jingtian's Divine Hall in a flash after killing the Hall Master Dragon God Temple's clone. The illusory flash was an extremely high-level movement technique. Even though Jianshin had reached the fourth layer of the chaotic body, the illusory flash was still useful to him. At the same time, his comprehension of the illusory flash had deepened once again in the Xianhuang microcosm, reaching an even higher level. However, Jianshin still felt like his comprehension of the technique had not reached the highest level. It was not like the heavens-stealing fortune that Jianshin had obtained in his early years. Although the heaven-stealing fortune could increase battle prowess by several times, its grade was just too low, so it was completely useless against saint rulers. Boom! Jianshin struck Tao Jingtian's Divine Hall with his palm. Although his palm was not as large as the Divine Hall, it was still enough to make the Divine Hall rumble. The entire Divine Hall violently shook. Jianshin pressed his hand against the Divine Hall, and a layer of powerful, silver-white sword chi appeared, covering his entire hand. The sword chi clashed with the Divine Hall, producing a series of cracking sounds. The tough Divine Hall began to crack rapidly in all directions with Jianshin's hand as the center. It was as dense as a spider's web. As the master of the Divine Hall, Tao Jingtian possessed complete control over the Divine Hall. Nothing that happened in the Divine Hall could escape his notice. He immediately paled in fright as his eyes became filled with fear. He knew exactly how powerful the Divine Hall's defenses were. Even when it had to endure the combined attacks of several Hall elders, it could remain unscathed. Yet now, the Divine Hall that could not be breached by an emperor had actually cracked before the ruler of the Turtle Clan. This was simply shocking. Tao Jingtian was greatly shocked. His confidence from before had completely vanished. He did not dare to stay for long, nor did he dare to leave the Divine Hall. He immediately controlled the Divine Hall and hurried toward the Supreme Divine Hall in the center of the Serpent God Hall's territory as quickly as possible. Tao Jingtian, do you think you can still leave now? Jianshin sneered as the killing intent in his eyes became even more intense. He used the illusory flash and left behind a blurry afterimage as he pursued with extreme speed. Jianshin's current speed was far greater than before. He arrived in front of the Divine Hall in a single moment. He clenched his right hand into a fist, and chaotic force filled his entire arm. It radiated with a grayish-black light and dazzling sword chi. Boom! Jianshin's fist hurtled forward with an unstoppable force, causing the surrounding space to violently tremble. The punch was extremely powerful, shattering the majestic door of the Divine Hall with a single punch. The entire Divine Hall was blown away. All the clansmen who had allied with the Tao family hid within the Divine Hall. The entire Divine Hall violently shook from Jianshin's tyrannical punch. All the people hiding in the Divine Hall staggered and almost lost their footing. Even the Holy Emperor swayed a few times. Oh no, the door of the Divine Hall has been shattered by the ruler of the Turtle Clan. He can actually destroy the Divine Hall. A holy emperor who had allied with the Tao family cried out. His eyes were filled with fear at first before gradually becoming filled with despair. The other saint kings were the same. All of them had thought of the same thing. Since the ruler of the Turtle Clan possessed the ability to destroy divine halls, did that not mean that he was an emperor? Even if he was not an emperor, he still possessed the battle prowess of an emperor. Tao Zhengtian's face paled. He controlled the divine hall to fly into the sky with gritted teeth before quickly descending. He used the foundation of the divine hall to crush down on Jianshan, because the foundation was the toughest part of the divine hall aside from the door. The divine hall had already expanded to several thousand meters in size. When it fell from the sky, it immediately became like a dark cloud, casting a huge shadow. Powerful divine hall energy flowed through the foundation, radiating with great pressure. It caused the space below to ripple and the gravity to greatly increase. Jianshan stood below the divine hall and raised his head to look at the sky. A gleam of light flickered through his eyes before he raised a hand to stop the divine hall from falling from the sky. Bang! The moment his hand came in contact with the divine hall, it immediately produced a heavy rumble. The divine hall came to a halt as Jianshan stood in the air, holding the huge divine hall with a single hand. He stood as still as a mountain and did not fall at all. The true advantage of the divine hall was its toughness. It did not possess much offensive power, so Jianshan was completely capable of stopping it with his current strength. After all, he was not a regular fighter. He possessed the chaotic body, so his body was extremely tough. A white light flashed on Jianshan's arm before he suddenly shook it. He immediately threw the divine hall into the sky, and thick cracks appeared on the sturdy foundation of the divine hall. They were all caused by sword chi. Suddenly, Jianshan shot into the sky like an arrow. He was enveloped by a layer of powerful sword chi. At that moment, he seemed to have become a sword. His body was a powerful sword as he directly slammed into the foundation of the divine hall. With a boom, Jianshan immediately created a hole in the foundation of the divine hall. He was enveloped by a layer of powerful sword chi as he charged into the divine hall. Afterwards, he shot straight up, smashing through the various obstructions before flying out from the top of the divine hall. He had pierced through the entire divine hall, creating a transparent hole. Jianshan had already pulled Tao Zhengtian out of the divine hall by the neck. At this moment, Tao Zhengtian did not seem to have returned to his senses. A sliver of confusion appeared in his eyes. However, he soon understood his current situation. He immediately became shocked as he stared at Jianshan, who was only inches away from him. He was utterly shocked. Jianshan held Tao Zhengtian by the neck like he was holding up a chick. His eyes were cold and filled with heavy killing intent. He sneered, "Tao Zhengtian, I've said before that no one can save you today." Tao Zhengtian opened his mouth. He wanted to say something, but he could not say anything with his neck in Jianshan's grip. Afterwards, he began to vomit mouthfuls of blood. His face was sheet white, and he became covered in blood very soon. The chaotic force had already entered Tao Zhengtian's body. The chaotic force of the fourth layer was so powerful that even Jianshan's chaotic body could not endure it, let alone Tao Zhengtian, whose body was nowhere near as tough as Jianshan's. The chaotic force wreaked havoc in Tao Zhengtian's body, reducing his organs to dust. Even his bones, flesh, and blood had been destroyed. His entire body was like a pile of mud. At this moment, 4 figures charged out of the divine hall. They all fled into the distance as quickly as they could. The 4 holy emperors hiding in the divine hall had already fled by themselves when they saw that the situation was bad. "Taita, stop them for me," Jianshan said to Taita. Taita said nothing. He immediately turned into a golden streak of light and chased after them with lightning speed. He used the mysteries of war, the celestial chase. It was an extremely high-level battle skill that was no weaker than the illusory flash. It was a secret technique that only warring gods could use. When Taita used it, he actually moved even faster than Jianshan. With a flash of golden light, Taita had already caught up to one of them. He heavily injured the holy emperor with a casual punch before catching up to the next person. Jianshun did not move at all. The four holy emperors were all captured by Tai Ta alone. To prevent them from resisting, they were all heavily injured by Tai Ta. Please spare us, ruler. We didn't want to become enemies with the Turtle Clan. We were forced by Tao Zhengtian. One of the four pleaded. He knew that it was impossible for him to escape today, so he did not want to die like this. Chapter 1332. Tao Zhengtian's divine hall had been pierced through and was extremely heavily damaged. Its defenses were nowhere near as powerful as before. Jianshun condensed a few strands of sword qi and sent them toward the divine hall. Every single strand of sword qi was not as powerful as an attack from the Holy Emperor, so they cut Tao Zhengtian's divine hall to pieces, causing it to fall to the ground. There were several tens of thousands of core disciples and experts in the divine hall. Most of the outer disciples and unimportant clansmen had already been separated by them so that they could hide. Now that the divine hall had been destroyed, the several tens of thousands of people hiding in there were immediately exposed. There were even several dozen saint rulers among them. Although the people of the Tao family alliance had no idea what had happened in the outside world, they had sensed that something was wrong when they were in the divine hall. Now that they saw the indestructible divine hall shatter, they immediately confirmed their suspicions. Immediately, a few people with faster reactions fled into the distance as quickly as they could. The several dozen saint rulers were the first to flee. Jianshun expanded his soul and enveloped a radius of several thousand kilometers. He used his soul to lock onto the saint rulers in the crowd. Extending a finger, he shot out strands of finger-sized sword qi. He had shot out several dozen strands of sword qi in an extremely short amount of time, killing all the fleeing saint rulers. The saint rulers were unable to resist the sword qi that Jianshun had condensed after reaching sword origin. They were all slain by a single strand of sword qi. In the end, none of the several dozen saint rulers from the Tao family's alliance managed to escape. They were all wiped out. Jianshun did not kill all the people below Saint Ruler. He stood at a completely different level now, so he was not interested in dealing with these people. Moreover, if he killed too many people, he would be punished by Celestial's decay. However, the alliance was destined to decline after losing the Saint Rulers and the Holy Emperor because there were far more experts in the Sea Realm than on the Tian Yuan continent. Without a Saint Ruler or the Holy Emperor, it would be very difficult for an organization to develop. With a wave of his hand, several dozen space rings flew into Jinshin's hand. These were all rings that belonged to the Saint Rulers of the Tao family. They contained their entire life's worth of savings. It was a very great fortune to the Turtle Clan. After that, Jinshin scanned the dilapidated divine hall with his origin spirit and searched every corner, but he didn't find anything of value. Jianshun, the true body of the Hall Master Dragon God Temple has arrived, Iron Tower said in a muffled voice. His eyes were filled with an intense battle intent as he looked into the distance. There was no need for Iron Tower to say anything, as Jianshun could feel it as well. There was a very powerful aura in front of them that was rapidly approaching. I can kill Class 9 Xianhuang beasts in the Xianhuang microcosm, and I've even killed a Class 10 Xianhuang beast. I wonder how much more powerful the Holy Emperor is compared to Class 9 Xianhuang beasts. Jianshun thought inside. He was eager to try. Right now, he wanted to find a Holy Emperor to test his true strength. Although he could kill Class 9 Xianhuang beasts in the Xianhuang microcosm, Xianhuang beasts did not possess any intelligence or abilities. Their battle experience was nowhere near as great as that of battle-hardened fighters. Killing Xianhuang beasts only meant that his attacks were no weaker than the Holy Emperor's, but his overall strength was still unknown. This was because the Holy Emperor was even more difficult to deal with in Class 9 Xianhuang beasts. He was agile and had comprehended the mysteries of the world, grasping many abilities and secret techniques. His battle prowess was incomparable to the Xianhuang beasts that only possessed brute strength. A tremendous pressure surged over from up ahead, rapidly expanding through the air. Wherever it passed, the space there would become sticky, like a swamp. A figure shot over with lightning-like speed from the distant horizon. He had already fused with the surrounding space, so his flight was completely silent. He was extremely fast. In just a few seconds, the figure had crossed several dozen kilometers and arrived before Jianshan at an unbelievable speed. Immediately, a tremendous pressure filled the entire region, causing the surroundings to tremble and the ground below to sink. Jianshan felt his body tense up. His clothes immediately clung to his body. At that moment, he felt like he was carrying a mountain on his back. It was extremely heavy, and even breathing became much more difficult than usual. The Holy Emperor really is more powerful than Class 9 Xianhuang beasts, Jianshan thought. Jianshan shivered inside. Although this was not the first time he had faced a Holy Emperor, he gained an even clearer understanding of the strength of the Holy Emperor this time. Ruler of the Turtle Clan, how bold of you! The Hall Master of Dragon God Temple bathed in blue light. All that could be seen was a blurry figure. His voice was icy cold, filled with irrepressible anger and killing intent. He had sent a clone to kill Jianshan because he had underestimated Jianshan's strength. Not only had he failed, but his clone had even been slain, causing his soul to become extremely injured. To the Hall Master of Dragon God Temple, who reigned over a region, this was a humiliation that could never be washed away. It made him extremely furious. Jianshan spat out strands of chaotic force from his chaotic Niden, which filled every inch of his body. He unleashed the powerful defenses of chaotic force to block the pressure from the Hall Master of Dragon God Temple. He calmly said, "Esteemed Hall Master of Dragon God Temple, I never thought that you would arrive so quickly. I failed to stop in time and accidentally destroyed one of your clones. I even dispersed the strand of soul that tried to escape. I shouldn't have caused any harm to the esteemed Hall Master, right?" 2 bolts of lightning immediately shot out from the Hall Master of Dragon God Temple's eyes when he heard that. It was extremely shocking. He furiously said, "Ruler of the Turtle Clan, you're not allowed to act so recklessly before me. Even if your strength has increased, you're only slightly more powerful than an ant before me. Since you've stepped into the territory of the Serpent God Hall today, your soul will be buried here for all eternity." With that, the Hall Master of the Serpent God Hall extended his hand towards Jianshan. The moment he extended his hand, Jianshan's expression changed. As soon as he extended his hand, it immediately turned into the claw of a serpent dragon. It extended endlessly and appeared before Jianshan in an instant. Isn't it a little too early to say that? I still don't know if you can keep me here today, and it's even more impossible for me to bury my soul here. Jianshan sneered. Even with his plentiful experience in killing Class 9 Xianhuang beasts, he still dared not to be careless before a Holy Emperor. He immediately pushed the advantage of his chaotic body to the limit. With a squeeze of his right hand, a dazzling, white sword chi condensed in the air, stabbing toward the claw with lightning-like speed. Ding! The two collided and produced a metallic sound. Jianshan's sword chi had only left behind a thin mark on the claw. It did not possess absolute suppression like it did against Tao Zhengtian's Divine Hall. After the strike, Jianshan rapidly retreated. Only after flying several kilometers did he disperse the great force from the claw. He became very stern. Through this clash, he knew that the Hall Master of Dragon God Temple's original body was many times more powerful than the clone from before. What tough claws! My attack only left behind a mark, Jianshan thought. The Hall Master of Dragon God Temple was much more difficult to deal with than he had imagined. However, what Jianshan did not know was that the Hall Master of Dragon God Temple was even more shocked than him. If one could see his face, they would discover that his face was filled with disbelief and disbelief. He stared at the speck of blue blood on his hand in a daze and did not return to his senses for quite some time.